Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Otts here, and we're reacting to the Raptors' loss to the Sixers last night in a game that was ugly at times, but also at the same time beautiful. It was. I'm not. You know, the game last night is not something for Raptors fans to overreact to. It's not something for people to get all bent out of shape or upset about because honestly, the game on Sunday and the game on Monday were very different, obviously, by the outcomes, the way things went. But mainly, and they said this on the broadcast, and this is so true, it's just the presence of Joel and the way that the Philly Sixers play when he's in the lineup is a totally different kind of thing. Now, if the Raptors don't have Jakob, we're not going to be able to play him exactly right. Trying to put Colin Murray-Boyles on Joel Embiid, it's just not a level he's ready to take on as a rookie and be successful at. He can't just stop Joel like he's been in the league for so long. That's why Jakob's essential for that matchup. In fact, we speculated on this in the morning on Monday that uh we may very well have problems with Joel coming back and not having our true center. That those matchups against the big centers are where we may get exposed. Now, it's not just that beat us. Honestly, the Sixers wanted to get us bad. They were mad about the night before. And Nick said after the game that he was proud of his guys coming with the energy on the second night to come and kick our butt. And, Maxi came back playing the same way he played on Sunday night. And Paul George, he showed up and he played at the beginning of the game very well to establish some things for their team. So they were hitting on some of their most important cylinders. It's kind of like the opposite of the night before. It was like all Maxi on Sunday, but they had diversified offense last night. And then on for us, we had a diversified offense on Sunday, but it really was kind of like a bad offense with just Brandon hitting at the beginning. Scotty was tired. You could tell Scotty was tired from the game before the overtime win. And so they went away from Scotty to establish at the beginning of the game. And that may have hurt us actually for scoring for the rest of the game. That we needed Scotty to get going at the beginning of the game also because he was so good at establishing things on Sunday night. So it was just tough. None of the Raptors scored over 20 points last night, and the offense was anemic again. And we have huge questions as to why the hell we can't make 3-pointers and what the hell is wrong with our team and its shooting. Like, seriously, at this point, it's just kind of like, what is wrong with us? Like, what's wrong with our shooting? Why can't we make any threes? And why do we have we had like 3 people make threes last night, and like 5 of them miss all their threes. Like, that's just in today's NBA, that's such a detriment, and that's such a hole to be digging yourself out of if you cannot make threes in this league. And I mean, we've been getting away with it this year so far, but it catches up to you. And last night, yeah, I mean, the Sixers wanted it so bad. It's obvious their offensive output in the first half was insane. They had 80 points at halftime, and that's not normal. That's not normal. We gave up the most points scoring, and that's because they had diversified, very powerful offensive weapons in Maxi and Embiid and Paul George. And they were all, like I said, they were all hitting at the same time at that time. I still got the comments from before. I'll go back to the other one. Say, all right, Trevor J's words of wisdom. The power of the tongue is real. Stop saying I'm tired, I'm broke, I'm depressed, etc. Start saying I'm grateful, I'm growing, I'm thriving, I'm winning, I'm successful. Speak life into your own words. Yeah. Perception's so powerful. That's why there's a lot of misinformation, disinformation to lie to people and tell people to hate other people, to be scared of other people. And that's how they're preying on us mentally right now, to not have the right outlooks and not speak into existence the right things. So, change your mindset, change it more positive. Think about the things you are grateful for, like he's saying here. Say that you're thriving, say that you're growing, say that you have good things in your life, and that will be the reality, and that will be attractive to more good things coming to your life. So, man, powerful words of wisdom by Trevor J this morning, because honestly, this stuff is so real. The people that are in the darkest places in their lives is because part of it is their perception and their mentality about it. Sure, there could be bad things happening, but there's also some ways that you can handle yourself through it that can, get you through stuff. So, yeah, your power of perception, your self-talk, what you're telling yourself is all important. Trust me. It's all important. Yeah, shape your reality. That's right, Trevor J. Blessings to the Jones family and all the Raptor Freak families. That's right. That's right. Trevor's saying 13-point loss to the Sixers. Why people think we got blown out? We did originally, Trevor. I mean, technically, you could say we did get blown out and routed by the Sixers last night because they separated themselves from us by 30 points, and we battled back and closed the gap a bit, which is pride and which is good, which is respectful. And I'm glad they did. But yeah, Sixers fans and other people that are saying that they routed us, that's actually accurate because they did. They routed the Raptors in the first half and really won the game then. It was really trying to play catch up. But when you're a team that doesn't score fast because you don't hit threes, how the hell are you going to make up that margin? We even saw Darko using some interesting lineups to try and do that. At one point, he had all of his best three-point shooters out there on the court all at once. Battle and Dick with AJ Lawson and Emmanuel Quickly. Those are their four best three-point shooters on the team. And there different results on each one, seriously. And we'll go over them on the box score. But yeah, they can say this, Trevor. They technically can say this, even if the margin looked better by the end of the game and we only lost by 13. That was all made up in the fourth quarter when we started playing better. And we did beat them in the second half. But the damage in the first half was so bad that the margin to come back from was just not going to happen. And it's too bad because honestly, if we had put better effort in the beginning of the game, we might have been able to do that. But they got the jump on us and they executed really well and they wanted it. They wanted it. Trust me. They really wanted to beat us last night. And well, they made sure that happened. And in some ways, Brandon was good at the beginning of the game. He's making his shots, but he was really the only one. And nobody else on the Raptors really kind of stepped up and did the things to kind of try and help and carry. RJ was playing. That'd be a big difference. That. RJ would help. Yeah, it's just what it is. I was hoping when we started this 2-game series with the Sixers that we'd split. I was pretty sure we'd probably split because in some ways we're very even matched with them this year. At full strength with all our guys healthy and all their guys healthy. Well, it'd be a very interesting matchup and it would be a lot closer than people think. On either side, I think that the Sixers fans would say, no, we'll just blow you out like we did last night. No, if we have Jakob and we have RJ and Jacoby and you guys have all your guys, it'll be a very good matchup. And I think we do better against you guys now than we did the last time we saw y'all in the playoffs. Scotty's 4 years older. He's much more powerful. We're way more organized. We're way more together as a team with our coach now and not the coach that you guys have. So I think that it would be a very even match if we played the Sixers in the playoffs this year. And it wouldn't be so simple. That may be the way we see Kyle in Toronto again, is that he's in the playoffs against us. And we have to see him come out and get waved to the crowd again. This guy said this, and he understands this after the game. He's like, yeah, this is possibly my last game ever in Toronto, but it's not totally for sure because there's a lot of things that could happen. One of them is the playoffs, that we could have a playoff series against them, and all of a sudden Kyle Lowry's showing up in the playoffs against us and, possibly could be in his last game in Toronto then. I don't think this is likely considering how out of shape Kyle looked last night that he comes back and plays again next year. I don't think that's going to happen. He has a job with Prime to do broadcasting, and he's going to transition into that. It's funny. They asked Kyle straight up last night, do you want to coach? And he was like, no. He said it so fast. I was like, no way I want to coach. And I've been saying this on this channel for a while, that everybody would bring it up. Let's get Kyle to be our coach of the Raptors down the road. I'm like, he won't do that. He will not do that. I don't think Fred would do it either. Although Fred maybe now, because he's having so much fun coaching the young Rockets and they're listening to him. Maybe Freddie could be a coach somehow, some way. But I don't know. That him and Kyle are the same with their mentality. And Kyle said, why wouldn't you want to coach? And he said, well, because I know guys like me will be involved, and I don't want to have to coach a person like me. So yeah, Kyle Lowry ain't gonna ever coach in the NBA. Everybody who thought he'd be an assistant coach for the Raptors or do anything with coaching in the NBA, you're absolutely wrong. The closest he'll be coming to coach is what he's doing right now with Maxey and Edgecombe and the stuff he does on the Sixers, the stuff he did for Fred VanVleet before, and Malachi too. And he has no intention to ever coach. He's going to play golf and he's going to do prime. And he's also going to, he said he coaches kids teams. So he'll coach his sons in basketball, but he's not coaching no NBA. People are thinking that's crazy, man. That's crazy. Isaac's here. He's got the starting five of Lex. I love seeing that, Isaac. Good morning to you, Isaac, holding it down in Ottawa, the nation's capital. We love you, Isaac. We hope you're doing good. Benevolent one. Kareem Thomas is here also. He's saying this, ugly loss yesterday, but it was due. Sixers had their starting lineup, and we were down 3 from ours. We were down 2, really. I wouldn't say 3. Also, we just beat them the night before. Let's get this dub against the Pacers. Yeah, we're not playing them till tomorrow. They don't make teams play 3 nights in a row. Thank God, Kareem. Thank God. No, we're playing 905 are playing in Birmingham again against the Squadron for the second game of 2. And I have the ref report for that. Let me do that real quick. Here's the refs for Raptors 905 at Birmingham Squadron game tonight at 7:30. Ken Jones is the crew chief, number 40. Eric Alig, the referee, is number 4. And Billy McClatchy is the umpire, number 31. Yeah, they routed them so bad the last game. We'll have to see how it goes tonight, even without AJ and Elijah and Jonathan being available to Andrew Jones. That don't matter. 905 is still very powerful. And if you like to see Raptors teams blow out other teams, well, watch the 905 game tonight. It's very likely they're going to beat this team again. And we'll just have to see how much they beat them by this time. So, yeah, there is a G League game tonight, y'all. So be ready for that. Yeah, let's see. Let's get the dub against the Pacers to kick off this grueling schedule ahead. Yeah, I don't know. Once again, I will take the words of wisdom from Trevor J and say, why did you put that descriptor on the front of that saying grueling, Kareem? That's your own perception. That's your own negative connotation on this. It doesn't necessarily mean it's grueling. You know, this whole season has been very jam-packed with games every other day. Lots of back-to-backs, playing 15, 16 games in a 30-day month. You know, you can call it whatever you want. It's work. And this is how Darko described it yesterday when he was doing the pregame interview, saying, this is not, we get the privilege to play these games because we're in the NBA. And let's not get it twisted. We make tons of money to do what we love, and we get the privilege to play in these games. It's not we get to or we have to or it's work or something like that. No, these guys, in some ways, Darko really makes it a center of gratitude for the NBA schedule and what we're doing and where we have to go. You should be grateful. You're in the NBA. Wake up. You should be happy. You've got $1 million in your bank account. So it's like, grueling. That's your own connotation. And we don't have to accept it. Who knows if it's grueling or not? Maybe we coast right through the games that are coming up soon and we kick a bunch of ass and win a bunch of games. I mean, don't prefabricate the lane that we're going down ahead of it. I'm serious. I'm being very serious. This is a big thing that I had to defeat in my own life is my negative mindset, putting negative connotations on everything. You got to watch your verbal speak. And when you hear yourself saying things unnecessarily more in a negative slant, catch yourself and retrain yourself not to. Start training yourself to say the good things in life, Kareem, is what I'm saying, man. Because I see it in the chat so much that you have negative talk. You're always talking negative things into existence. You got to stop that. If you train your mind to do the opposite, like I did over the years, because I was like you before, you're going to have a happier life. I'm going to tell you that right now. You have a lot more power over this than you think. So, yeah, grueling, I reject that name. Get that garbage out of here, is what I'm saying. Yeah. Superfan Mo is in the house. Of course, she went to the game last night, and I'm really happy she did. Good morning, Raptor Freak crew. One of the worst losses I've seen this season. Fans left early in the third. Amazing standing ovation for the GROAT. No stars for me. I was disappointed in seeing how so many fans left. I was disappointed in seeing how the crowd, I will give credit to the people that stayed. They stayed loud and active, cheering for the team, even after they were kind of really out of it. So kudos to the ones who stayed till the end. Kudos to the ones who gave Lowry that warm applause and ovation. Kudos to you. The ones who left, you're not real fans. You missed out on saying goodbye to the GROAT because you left early, you dumbasses. You had to stay right up until the end of the game to see Kyle. And if you went home and you saw it on the news later and you felt, oh my gosh, why didn't I stay? Of course, this is so stupid. I could have been there for this moment. Yeah, you're an idiot. Once again, don't sell out your team, ride or die with them right up until the end. And I don't care what the score is. What, you worried you're getting some sort of losing vibes on you because you're sitting in an arena with the Raptors down 20? What's wrong with you people? You paid good money for this. Do you get up in the middle of the movie if you just feel like getting up in the movie? Maybe some of y'all do, but movies are expensive these days. If you're going to pay the money, go ahead and sit through it, even if it's a pile of shit. Seriously, how often are people paying $50 for movies these days and getting up in the first 5 minutes and saying, this movie sucks, I'm out, and they just leave? Okay, just throw away your money. Just burn it on the street out in front of everybody. Just bring it outside. I'm lighting my money on fire because I would just waste it. Seriously, why are these people leaving in the third quarter? You pay good money. You only want the half of what you paid for? Seriously, what are you doing with your life if you're doing this? You know what? You should have the mentality that Darko has about playing in the games for the players. It's we get to. No, it's a privilege for us to do this. It's a privilege for y'all to go to the game, and y'all squander it by leaving and going out the door like that. Seriously, what is wrong with y'all? And the other thing is it shows that y'all are uneducated. Because just like Alvin Williams said on the broadcast, no lead is safe anymore. In fact, it took a while for Kyle to come into the game because Nick Nurse was still respecting the Raptors and their ability to come back and try and still snatch the game. And he was protective of that because that's all he cared about was getting the win. And if he's not willing to put in Lowry until after 2 minutes are up in the game, that shows right there that the potential for the Raptors to still win the game, even though you think that even though you think that they can't win, and y'all leave and go out the exit door. Shame on y'all. Shame on y'all, the people that left the game early last night. Shame on you. You missed a moment that was touching and important. And what did you do? You missed half the game. You probably missed the most important part of the game, other than, forget about the actual gameplay, the moment with Kyle. You missed that because you got up out your seat and you went home early. And then you probably heard about it on the radio and you had regret. Oh, damn, they did that with Kyle after I left? I'm an idiot. Why didn't I stay? Yeah, why didn't you stay, you jabroni? Yeah, why didn't you stay? It's crazy. Why would people do this, Monique? I don't get this. Seriously, I don't get this. You say no stars, but I do have stars for me. Mo ran into Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's dad last night. I thought you had met him before, Mo. She's saying, great meeting Vaughn Alexander last night for me. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I thought you had met him before. I remember you saying that you'd met him before. Maybe I was confused. Yeah, I'm wondering this from him being at the game and talking to you. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's dad, Vaughn, does he just go to Raptors games just randomly? I figure he come through when his son comes through, or maybe he comes through when his nephew comes through. But does he just go to random Raptor games still? Yeah, I think y'all are thinking the same thing as me. Why would Vaughn Alexander be at random Raptor game where his son's not involved? He's just a basketball fan, Lex. He likes to go to basketball games. It doesn't matter if SGA's in town or not. He just wants to go to a Scotiabank Arena and be around the atmosphere. I mean, I get that, but it's also like, wouldn't he be going with his son to different places around the league, like John Halliburton and T. Morant? Like, why wouldn't he be traveling with SGA? Why is he in Toronto? Why is he at the Toronto game? Can we get some Jake Fisher rumors about this real quick? SGA's dad seen at Toronto Raptors game, and they're not playing the Thunder. SGA confirmed to Toronto. I mean, I can do this kind of extrapolation. This is what all these opinion piece hack writers, NBA beat writers like Jake Fishers do. They just make up shit and just put it out there. Why not? I have a kernel of truth in this story that I'm making up. Vaughn Alexander cited at Raptors game with superfan Monique Lawrence. Whoa, I can read into that. Let me read into this and make up a whole bunch of stuff. SGA wants to come to Toronto. His dad's at the game. Yeah. Why can't we do this? This seems to be the logic of figuring things out these days and making reality become reality. That's right. I love that, Mo. I love seeing the picture of you with SGA's dad. Yeah, he seemed like he had a real connection with you, and that's awesome. I love that. Kesperos here, our fact checker, is in the house. He's like, I would look at the last two games this way. We've shown we can beat the Sixers' future roster in the first game. The second game, they played their entire hand, and our cards remained hidden. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, Kespera. Because honestly, Jakob has not played against the Sixers in these last two games. And that is a big, big one right there. That's literally a big one. And then, RJ, he played in the first game, but he didn't play in either game. That's another thing. RJ didn't play in either of these games too. So those are two very important starters. They did get Paul George out, and his leg wasn't all swollen or something. I don't know. And he played, and he actually played pretty good. He did kind of a vintage Paul George jukebox of his old hits. The way he plays, the way he does his things, the way that so many young NBA players studied him and mimicked him. He's doing some of that stuff out there last night. He's still goofy, man. He's still goofy to me. He really is. Yeah. Kesper's saying we can game plan for them with this. Yeah, I mean, look, Nick is a competitor. Nick is such a crazy, crazy competitor. That's one of the best things about him as a coach, is he hates losing. And you got to give Nick a lot of credit too. He is an adjustment guy. He's very good at motivating in some ways his team, and he did a good job with the game plan. He's having Embiid out there. It's really interesting how Embiid's very efficient. Sure, he makes some dumb turnovers. He's lazy and he doesn't pick the ball up when it's thrown to him too low. But also at the same time, his offensive game is so polished at this point. It's scary. Like his shot is so money with all those little shots in the lane, like mid-range. And then his three is really money too from the top of the key. It's a real problem, man. And, kudos to Colin trying to handle him. But that assignment should have never been his last night. And I didn't feel comfortable with Scotty being on him either. They put Scotty on Tyrese too late in these two games. Honestly, they should have had Scotty on Tyrese on Sunday night. I think that we could have gotten to Tyrese a little bit better with putting the best defender on our team, Scotty Barnes, on Tyrese Maxey sooner. We did finally see Scotty chasing Maxey around last night for a little while. But I feel like that was too late. Letting the guards try and handle Maxey wasn't the right thing because he's so lopsided to being their most important offensive player that when you're figuring out the assignments for our defenders, you got to give number one top priority threat scorer to Scotty. I don't care. You juggle the lineup around it the other way to do things. Because in some ways, you didn't want Tyrese Maxey to get going in the way he did these last two games in any kind of way. So you should, in hindsight, I would have said, Darko, you should have put Scotty on Maxey in the first game, especially when there was no George or Embiid. And getting to Maxey in the middle of the second game against the Sixers with Scotty, that's too little too late. That's too little too late. They did start Shed again last night, which was cool. They had a BI come back and take the spot from Jacoby, and Shed stayed in the lineup for a quick Shed start with BI, Colin, and Scotty as the other three starters. And that's an interesting trend. Are we going to be moving into a period of time with the Raptors like Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, where we got a backcourt starting like that. Nah, as RJ comes back, he takes his spot. But it's an interesting look, and it harkens to that. In some ways, it's kind of a tribute to Fred and Kyle being in the house last night, to the small guard lineup of Quick Shed. It's an interesting thing right there. It's a very interesting thing. That's right. That's right. Kareem's saying this. We showed a bit of fight, and that's all we can ask for. Any team can get got. Pacers beat the Celtics. Yep. Yep. Good job, Siakam. Kings beat the Lakers. Oh, I love that. You're just music to my ears. The Jazz beat the Cavs. Woo, another good one. I like that. We just need to put this one behind us and shift. I don't care. This is one game. And in some ways, that's why I'm so sick of Raptors fans reacting to every loss like it's the end of the world. It's so dumb. Like, look at the game last night and see the beautiful part with Kyle Lowry and enjoy that. In some ways, the game was what the game was. And, we're not going to win every single game that we play. And Raptors fans that are delusional and think that we should win every single game we play, you're crazy. We're not the 905. In some ways, they could do that because of the ecosystem they're in and how powerful they are. But the Raptors are in a whole different kind of crazy fight in the NBA. And we have to be realistic. And losses and wins will come, but we want way more wins to come than losses. And important things like the standings matter. Now, that's why I figured the first game of this series was the most important. And the reason why is because that set the tone, and we needed to get one of them for sure. So we got that first one and put it in right away. And losing last night meant, well, they are not going to leap us in the standings because we took care of business on Sunday night and got a game and a half lead over them after that game, so that when we lost last night, we're still a half game above them in the standings as of this morning. And that's still a slim margin, but we beat Siakam and the Pacers tomorrow night, and we can get some more breathing room. And hopefully the Sixers will have some tough games and lose some more soon, and we can get some distance from them. But my whole goal was, with them so close to us in the standings, I didn't want to see them jump us. And well, mission accomplished. It took a split, and we didn't see them jump us last night. That's right. That's right. That's right. Kareem's saying focus and honor our growth. That's right. That's the message I was kind of saying just now. Is like, look, that was a special game last night. It was in some ways not very fun, but it was also very kind of like a heartwarming moment. I mean, Kyle was super touched. You can tell, man. They showed film of him walking in with the video screens they set up for him in the concourse to the visitors' locker room. They changed all the Scotiabank Arena graphics to pictures of Kyle from different parts of his career. And when he was filming, like his camera, what they did for him, did you see the look on his face? It looked very childlike, like Christmas. Like he was just really excited and just jubilant and just kind of like enthusiastically just happy. It was so cool. And like even them putting him in the game and everything, you could tell how touched he was. Like, this dude is seriously for us. And it's so crazy because he's doing things that are kind of dangerous for him, because he is a Philadelphia native son. He is a 76er, but he is also a Toronto Raptors champion that destroyed the Sixers in 2019. And there's such a weird duality to that. In some ways, Sixers Nation has to respect Kyle getting honored by the Raptors Nation. In some ways, they have to respect the whole situation, just like Maxey does. Maxey said in the post-game interview, I was crying almost for Lowry and the outpouring of love towards him and the honoring. And, even Nick said some nice things last night that kind of got me back in favor with him a little bit. He really understood, obviously, the gravity of the situation and the relationship between Kyle Lowry and Toronto. And, he respected that. And he let it be known that he had always planned on this game to let Kyle have that moment, that was always in the works, that if anybody was speculating whether Nick Nurse was going to be a jerk and not let Kyle have this moment, he had never, ever thought that idea at all. And you know what Nick said? And this is great because this kind of whitewashes over the old thing he said, where he said Canadian fans are fascinating. Remember when he said that when he was leaving? I was like, man, that's a left-handed compliment. That's not necessarily a nice thing to say. So what did he say about us last night? He called the fans of the Raptors tremendous. He called us tremendous. And that went a long way, Nick, because in some ways your words matter what you say. And when you called us fascinating on the way out and you said good luck with those guys, that was kind of like, I get it. You were hurt, and in some ways things were all went sour and messed up with you in Toronto. And in some ways, maybe there's some kind of veiled insults or jabs on your way out. But what he talked about the whole situation last night was completely respectful. And honestly, you earned a lot of points with me, Nick, by doing what you did for Kyle last night. And also the way you talked about the Toronto crowd in the city and stuff like that. I know deep down, even though you're the coach of the Sixers now, there's a lot of affinity and connection and stuff that's really strong. And I think that even though you did a snake coach thing, I think that in some ways you may be able to heal the rift with Raptors Nation better than people like Vince Carter or Chris Bosh. That I feel like you could do this and pull this off by the end of your life. You're going to get good with us. I know you will, because you respect this and you get this better than Vince does. Vince doesn't get this. Vince, in some ways, is blinded by his own damn ego, and he just doesn't understand his place in Raptors history and how he should actually handle it. And the way he handles it is absolutely, in some ways, to me, just disheartening. Let's just put it that way. Now, with Nick, I think he actually gets it, and I think that he will come around and really show the proper respect and feelings towards the Raptors organization when it's all said and done. Because let's not get it twisted. He was the rookie head coach that won an NBA championship here in Toronto. And, he went through the wars for our team, and he has the same kind of feel for our team like Kyle does to an extent. It's just that there was a bad ending, and things kind of went south, and he went to coach for an arch rival. So it really did go a long way, Nick, just so you know. You got this Raptors freak a little bit more like, you know what, Nick's kind of an all right guy, is what I'm saying. Is what I'm saying right now. And I know I go hard and I talk a lot about Nick Nurse, and not necessarily a nice way, because of how I feel like he sabotaged our team. And well, it's just what it is. It's past water under the bridge, and we'll just go forward, right? That's what we do. That's right. That's right. We gave a good celebration for GROAT, all on script. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he deserves that so much. And it's just heartwarming, man. It's just heartwarming. And Kyle, you deserve all the adulation and love, man. You really are an icon to Toronto sports. You really are one of the culture setters of the We the North era, with DeMar DeRozan, Dwayne Casey, and Masai Ujiri. And we're forever grateful to you guys. Like Maxey said in his post-game interview, Kyle Lowry set a culture in Toronto that's still here today. And he's exactly right. He's exactly right. Now, I wish Lowry had made a shot. It's kind of funny. Nick calls a timeout and draws a play for Lowry, and it's a classic swooping runaround play where he gets the three at the top. And he's an air ball, like too short, but it was online, as Alvin said. It would have gone on if he had pushed it more. But man, I'm going to say this right now. Kyle Lowry is not in shape right now. You can tell. You can tell when he's coming in the game. That man is not in shape, and he really isn't playing a whole lot. And there really was some mystery about whether they actually would put him in, just because he seemed like on the bench acting like he was maybe not into coming out because he's just not played that much. I mean, he's got to worry about, he doesn't want to get hurt just because he's out of shape and he just comes out there all of a sudden. That's telling a lot. Like, I don't know. Nick, are you going to have Kyle in your playoff roster? Because that may be part of whether he is coming back to Toronto and being around our team as a player who can play in the NBA. It may be like that. It could very well be the Sixers decide that Kyle is not going to be on the playoff roster if they, make the playoffs, which they're likely to. They're likely to. Yeah, most saying some fight, but meh. I like that they kept going. I mean, that's the Darko signature. It's like, even though you're down by 30, what the hell? You got a lot of time in this game still. I love what Scotty said. He was mic'd up last night in the game. And he's saying, this is early. It's still a lot of time and stuff like that. I didn't like Alvin saying I give him side eye and kind of say, don't say that. No, that's the right attitude that Scotty should have, Alvin Williams. And him telling his team as the team leader, saying there's a lot of time, don't give up, keep going. That's the stuff that Raptors culture is built on. And that's the culture after you, Alvin. The culture that Kyle built, like in those games in Dallas, where they came back in a crazy game where they had no business coming back. So anything's possible. And Scotty encouraging his team to not give up and keep working hard and keep plugging away. Well, that's exactly what he should be saying. And he's exactly right. It's not unrealistic to make up a 20-point lead in the second half of the NBA. Maybe in your old NBA, Alvin Williams, when you played, but the new NBA is different. And it is the way it is. It's very interesting. Kareem saying this. Think about it like this: if we were beating the Sixers, we wouldn't get this time to show and appreciate Lowry and give him a standing ovation. Yeah, we don't need to say it that way. They could have put him in even in a close game when the game was out of reach with the clock, just ceremonially for like the last second of the game. So they could have done this a couple different ways depending on what happened. It is true the route did make it more comfortable for a maniac like Nick Nurse to feel at ease enough to play Kyle Lowry. In some ways that is true. Trevor's saying any NBA team can beat any NBA team on any given night. They're all professional players. Yeah, this is so true. We forget this. Even the lowliest teams in this league, they can get hot streaks and they can be unbeatable on certain nights and against the best teams in the league too. So yeah, this is the NBA. This has always been this way, and this is something that fans got to remember when they're talking about NBA stuff. Is that like respect this stuff, man? Because this stuff, it can happen like this. That's right. That's right. G saying, in a sense, I'm glad some fans got to see that Colin cannot play against actual bigs. It's not fair to him. Yak is essential. Yeah, yeah. Why would we want to go into a matchup with another team with a noticeable physical mismatch? Like, it's noticeable. I mean, seriously, this man's outweighing him and out hiding him, and it's just not the right thing. We can be, oh, it's cute. Look at the rookie trying to guard Embiid. That's not cute. And in some ways, it's like we didn't have the right personnel for Joel in any kind of way last night. We did it, not available. And in some ways, there you go. There's the hole in our roster once again. If Yak is hurt, we don't have that second guy that's like him to do that. And that may very well be what we need in that third guy. Mobamba was not him. So, Bobby, if you're still planning on making a deal around the trade deadline, that's the need we need, because you could see it last night. And Colin and Scotty shouldn't be trying to guard Embiid as much as, you guys say they can. And they shouldn't be doing this. They really shouldn't. The roster needs to be completely constructed. And that means the depth at that position has to have at least 2 deep, especially if Yak's back is going to be weird and doing weird stuff. So, yeah, I agree with you, G. That's a hidden kind of positive from it, is that we see the truth. Kareem saying, dang, a few messages got deleted. They got deleted. Where? I read the ones from the other side, from the other stream. That's why. I switched streams. That's why. Yeah. Most saying no stars for me, flat like a pancake. All right. Yeah. That is apropos for saying that their shots and the way they played was very flat for sure. That is totally accurate. But here's my stars of the game. My number one star of the game is Colin. Colin got that assignment. It was kind of weird to put him in that position. Colin shot pretty good. 6 for 9, 12 points in 32 minutes, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 turnover, 2 steals, and a -3. I like that he got a lot of assists in this game last night. 6 assists is fantastic. And, he may be a triple-double guy too. Like, if he can broaden his horizons with his passing, his playmaking, we know he's going to get the double-double. It's just how often is he going to get to double digits in assists? It's possible because he is a very good passer and he seems unselfish. He's, people are dumping off passes to him and he's getting big dunks. Well, he likes to return the favor and look for other people too. So, yeah, Colin, I'm going to give you the number one star of the game, partly because you had to guard Embiid too, is part of it. Yeah, my second star of the game in the game last night is our Brampton man, AJ Lawson. This is the thing, man. The bench for the Raptors has been very disappointing this year. But I've been thinking all along that one of the best solutions to it, and other you guys have been saying it too, notably Kareem, is AJ Lawson. Is like, why don't we just put AJ in if we're having anemic offensive scoring from our bench? Because that's what he is. He is a pure scorer. He's a speed hyperdrive, and we saw it. It's kind of cool that we got Elijah major minutes in the first game against Philly, and then AJ got the major minutes last night. And you saw Darko rewarded AJ for making a difference and making an impact in the game by giving him a 17-minute run in the game last night. He could easily just play like 2 minutes, 8 minutes like Jameson, but no, he was doing good things out there, and Darko let him keep going. And I love it. AJ had 14 points in 17 minutes. So he was trying to hold up some scoring punch when none of the other Raptors were scoring nothing. And that's what he's good for. That's what he's good for. He can fill it up and he can get you a lot of points quick. In fact, that's part of the success of the 905 was even when they get into get down and they're like behind by like 15 in the third quarter. Well, AJ's one of those guys. In fact, maybe the main guy who's scoring and filling it up to make the Raptors 905 come back and get these victories snatched back towards them. Because AJ's instant offense. AJ's one of the fastest players in the league. AJ's a dogged defender. Did you see how he ran into Joel Embiid last night and knocked Joel Embiid over? That was insane to me. AJ's a very skinny guy. It's not like he's got a lot of mass. Maybe Joel was flopping. I don't know. But that was weird to me that they could collide and actually he knocked Joel over, which was crazy. Yeah, AJ's awesome. You see him flying in there to get rebounds. You see him flying at people on defense. You see him getting after it. And that's why in some ways, look, some of our guys that are in the rotation regularly this whole season, some of the guys that have played every game this season, they aren't better than AJ Lawson. AJ Lawson is better than some of the other guys that are higher than him on the rotation. And Darko needs to recognize this and maybe make the adjustment. Seriously, because this dude was awesome. 14 points in 17 minutes, 5 of 9 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, made his only free throw, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 0 turnovers, a +1. Yeah, AJ, you do your thing, man. You do your thing. And I love that, man. You make that 3 right in front of the GROAT, Kyle Lowry. Yeah. Well, this is a young kid that grew up in Toronto, that was a Kyle Lowry fan, that was a part of Raptors fan nation, AJ Lawson. And it's special to him. In some ways, it hits harder for AJ and RJ than any of the other Raptors because it's in their DNA. It's in who they are and where they come from. And that's so special and important. The third star of the game for me last night was Quickly. I'm going to give some shine to Quick because honestly, he was the one holding the sinking ship together as much as he could, depending on things. Some people will watch Emmanuel Quickly and they say, oh, he's pissing me off. He's taking these shots. He misses. He does this. Why did he do that? A lot of that stuff. But listen, Quickly, once again, he's the daring guy. He's one of the guys trying to do something to help the team. 32 minutes, 18 points. He was our leading scorer last night. He did shoot 8 of 18, which is not too far off from 50%. If he had made just one more of those shots, that's 50%, right? 2 for 10 from 3. So he was one of the only 3 guys that made a three-pointer for the Raptors last night. AJ and him and Jameson. The only 3 guys that made a single 3 in this whole entire game. AJ had 3 of them, and IQ had 2 of them. So there's 5 of our 6 3-pointers made were in IQ and AJ. It's crazy. 6 rebounds for Emmanuel also. He didn't get a single assist, which was interesting. He was in that combo guard scorer mode. 1 turnover, 1 steal, a -13 for Emmanuel Quickly. He's trying to carry. He's trying to get points. He's trying to do stuff when nobody else, in some ways, it's just not going right. Honorable mention for Brandon Ingram, who was hot to start, and he did get a double-double last night, which was interesting. But Brandon, he shot really well right at the beginning, and then for the rest of the game, he was poop. 17 points in 34 minutes, 5 of 15. So, yeah, that's not good. 0 for 2 from 3. So one of the guys that got an 0 for at the 3. 7 for 7 at the free throw line, though. 10 rebounds. I like that, too. So that's part of the honorable mention. And Brandon could be flirting with a triple-double, too, because he got 7 assists. So a 17, 10, and 7, that's a pretty good stat line for most people. But for Brandon Ingram, that's not. In some ways, the shooting is what's important there. 3 turnovers also for him. So you got to tighten that up, a -7. Scotty was tired. They didn't even try and go to him right from the start like they did on Sunday. And that's too bad. We couldn't establish Scotty's dominance in his offense around in the middle exactly the same way. Part of it is Joel's presence. And Scotty can go in there and try and do stuff, but Joel is a threat to block shots. And that does change things up with how we approach our offense. So Scotty, 15 points in 35 minutes, 5 of 16. So he shot even worse than Brandon. 0 for 3 from three, another 0 for at the three line. 5 for 5 at the free throw, though. 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 turnovers, and 2 steals and a block. A minus 13 for Scotty Barnes. I mean, it's tough, man. You got nobody scoring and nobody making threes. It's tough for your team. Jamal Shed in the starting lineup, 30 minutes, 3 points. 3 points. He did so much on Sunday night and not hardly anything last night. 1 for 5 from the field, 0 for 4 from three. Yeah, 1 for 1 at the free throw line, 1 rebound, 6 assists, 1 turnover, 2 steals, a minus 5. So he really was playing true point guard, and Emmanuel was playing true shooting guard last night for sure. Sandro, a better game than Sunday. He bounced back from an 0 for 21 minutes, 8 points on 3 of 7 shooting. He was 0 for 2 from 3, 2 for 5 at the free throw line. Those misses at the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 turnovers, minus 9. Jameson, 8 minutes. He made a 3. One of the 2 shots he made, one of the 2 shots he shot, 2 rebounds, 1 turnover, a minus 10. Mobo, garbage minutes, late, got a basket, got a rebound, a putback, plus 4, 2 points in 2 minutes. Garrett, he got in there to dance with Kyle just for fun. And it was a funny moment when at the end of the game, Kyle's like, I want to guard Garrett Temple. Because in some ways, he didn't want to work. He didn't want to have to do anything. And he knew that to carry his weight, all right, I'll go guard the graybeard, the old guy on his team, my friend Garrett. And I think that's fun, too. In some ways, that's just kind of a fun, goofy kind of bookend to it, that Garrett Temple's guarding Kyle Lowry in this game. Yeah, but he didn't do anything stat-wise, but he was a plus 4. Oshai, 2 minutes in the garbage time also. He took 1 3 and he missed. He did have an offensive rebound. Yeah, the stuff they're doing with Oshai is very much signaling that they are going to move him, guys. Like, seriously, they are very much doing this. Because this game last night, he could have easily played, like, rotation minutes, but he was held out on purpose. He played on Sunday more regular minutes, but he has not played regular minutes in either the Friday game last week or the game last night. That's a sign. I'm telling you right now, Baji's going to get traded in the next month. He will be traded in the next couple weeks, guys. Watch. Elijah did get in first. He was the first sub into the game last night as a reward for his stellar work on Sunday. Alas, Elijah, he was okay, I guess. 13 minutes, 6 points, 1 of 3, missed both his 3-pointers, 4 for 4 from the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 turnovers, a minus 8. Just not as many points. I think that, Darko, at a certain point when he saw the game was getting blown out, and it's not good for the confidence of Elijah Martin to put him out there as much in that situation. AJ fits it better because AJ's got a lot of experience in the NBA. And in some ways, he's that kind of hurry up guy that can help you get back. It's like Elijah's more better if we've got the lead or it's close because he's a defensive kind of guy. But you could hurt Elijah's confidence by putting him in a route and he starts screwing up and just horrible in that. So in some ways, they were protecting Martin from that, I think. And that's why they didn't go so heavy on him in the rotation minutes last night, is because, he's a rookie. In some ways, he doesn't necessarily need to be out there dealing with the Sixers when we're down by 30. Does that make sense? And AJ, because of his nature and his experience being in the league for years already, he's better in this situation to lean towards if you're picking between the two ways and playing minutes on them in the game like the situation last night. Grady Dick, man, I feel so bad for this kid, man. It's like, in some ways, they taught Grady to have body, to hold your posture, to hold yourself with confidence, and he can't even fake that anymore. And like you see him on the bench, and you can just see him dying inside. I hate this so much. These Jayhawks, in some ways, it's going to be very interesting what happens with them. Whether it's Oshai getting traded soon and what's happening with Grady. Josh Lewinberg posting on his Twitter, his Blue Skies last night, that Grady is eligible for a contract extension off his rookie contract in the fall, and he's saying it's not going to happen. He's like, just like Oshai was eligible for his last year. Don't expect the Raptors to put a extension on Grady's contract, and that he may be very well after next season becoming a restricted free agent from the Raptors. And that means we have the right to match whatever money somebody tries to sign him for. But we may not be putting investment into whole Grady anymore. It's really because this season has gone so bad for him. 1 for 6 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. And that's the worst. That's the worst of all of them. He's the 0 for 5. Jamal's the 0 for 4. Scotty's the 0 for 3. Brandon and Elijah 0 for 2. Alessandro 0 for 2. All these 0 for guys. And Grady's supposed to be that dude. And honestly, some of the looks he had last night were absolutely ones he should have made. He had one that was going to go in, but it flipped out. I don't know what Grady did to the basketball gods, but they hate you right now, Grady Dick, obviously, because we can see you miss a three-pointer so bad that the ball bounces up onto the top of the backboard and gets stuck up there. There's something wrong with that. That's a sign. Seriously. Something is weird with you, bro. Maybe whatever's going on in your personal life, you need to switch it up real quick because there's bad energy around you and there's bad things coming into your life professionally in the NBA. I don't know what it is. I can't speculate on this. I have no idea what your personal life is like with your family and Carla. I'm just saying something's wrong, bro. You've angered the basketball gods because your shots that were so money last year are not, they're like getting thrown out like by invisible forces. Your ball's going up on the top of the backboard and get stuck up there. That was symbolic of what's going on with you, Grady, that you bricked the shot so bad it bounced up on top of the backboard and got stuck up there. Man, I feel so bad for him. He did make both his free throws at least, and he got a rebound and 2 assists, no turnovers, a -10. I mean, it's tough, man. We just need to start getting a couple of good things happening and build from that. But man, you need to make your threes. This is just who you're advertised as. And the stats, they're showing these stats of like the people that take the most threes in the league, and there's like 130 names on it. And you are ranked like 120 out of 130 for your percentage from 3. Like that's really bad, Grady. Like you and Jordan Hawkins were supposed to be 2 of the top 3-point shooters. In fact, I wanted the Raptors to draft Jordan Hawkins and not you. That was who I was asking Bobby to draft that day. And they went with you instead of Jordan. Well, apparently both of y'all can't hit threes now. So even if they'd gone with Jordan Hawkins, well, it looks like Jordan's having just as much trouble shooting his threes in New Orleans as you are in Toronto. Feel so bad for Grady. You're letting your dreams slip away from you, man. You don't even understand it. You've got to get this figured out. If you need to go to a psychologist, if you need to do any drastic changes to your routine to fix this, you do it because your NBA career, in some ways, the trajectory and what you're doing is being set by this 3rd year in your NBA career right now. And that is not good right now, the way it's going. Seriously, you got to, man, I feel so bad for Grady right now. That's checking on the box score. I guess I could go look at Kyle Lowry's box score. Yeah, Kyle Lowry, 2 minutes, 0 for 3. He was just like a Raptor last night. He went 0 for 3 from three-point land. He was a -4, Kyle Lowry, in the game last night. Yeah, we did that just for honor, just to honor for him. That's right. That's right. Let's see. G's saying this: the Sixers were shooting the 3 at 83% for a quarter and a half. Yeah, this was ridiculous. Their numbers offensively by halftime were insane. We're shooting so bad, and meanwhile, they're shooting like 80% from field goal, 60% from 3, crazy shit like that. It was insane. They were really locked in, and that's the thing I want on our team. I want our team to be like so confident that if we want to, we can just make every shot that we shoot like they did last night. Alas, it's a weird thing with our team. I don't understand why we can't shoot. Like, what is wrong with our team? Can we destroy the Noah system already or not? Seriously, because that Noah system, ever since it showed up at OVO Center, the Raptors teams have shot worse since the Noah system's been around. I'm not lying. Seriously, let's go look at the analytics heads, and look at pre-Noah shooting for the Raptors basketball team and then after Noah and see just how bad the percentages are. I mean, this is stuff we were talking about when Gary Trent was on our team. It's just like, this is what is wrong with our team? Why are we not shooting better? Like, why can't we shoot threes? What's going on, Raptors? What's wrong with you guys? You can make threes in the warm up. I see y'all bombing them out all when you're getting ready for the game. But in the game, y'all are open. You take the three, you miss it. Like, what is going on with you guys? You know, in some ways, Grady, you're the leader of this. And in some ways, your leadership could get us out of this. That's a crazy thing, man. Don't do it for yourself, Grady. Don't do it for yourself. Do it for the rest of the team. Be that leader, like Scott's a leader in different ways. Be that leader with your three-point prowess. And then maybe all of a sudden, Jameson's shots will start going in. Because maybe some of these guys look up to you as the three-point shooter. And, oh, Grady's not making a shot. Oh, crap. Now none of us are making it. And now we got this trend where Sandro Mamu's not making his threes when he was making his threes so good for the first part of the season. It's trending in the wrong direction. You know, Shed missing all his threes last night when he'd been shooting his threes really well recently. We need to get you guys back on track. And if Grady, you're not going to be that leader for three-point shooting, well, RJ will come back and do it. Yeah. Barrett will come back and start making his threes. And maybe he can be the leader on the team, showing that we all need to take our three-point shots and open shots very seriously and make them. Because I'm sick of this shit. I'm wondering how many games this year we could have won more if we'd just been a better shooting team this year. Because seriously, these stats about us shooting 26% and lower on three-point and being 7-0 are crazy. That's crazy shit. How do we win like that? Just imagine if we made our threes. How powerful will we be? Just imagine we made our threes. How powerful will we be? We're already at this record and we're already doing this and this. How powerful will we be if we start making our shots? Some things is like, look, there's a balance, right? Even in a game, it's like, well, you're shooting so bad. And we've said this in years past. We've said this on this channel. Oh, maybe there's going to be a section of the season where the Raptors make their threes like crazy. And it balances out the percentages, the law of averages. Maybe. I mean, I love that. Wouldn't that be great? We go through all this bullshit with the three-point shooting right now. And then in the last couple months of the season, the Raptors are just money, hitting everything. Ooh-wee, let's talk that into existence. Let's put that into our perception. Let's build that and manifest it. How about that? I like that. I like that a lot. I do. That's right. Raptors Champs is here. Good morning, Raptors freaks and champs. All the people that say we need a center needed this loss. I was thinking about 2019 Gasol last night. Man, yeah. All right. I forgot to cover this. This weekend there was an open gym that dropped on Sunday. And it was a retrospective and a visiting of CJ Miles. And CJ Miles, of course, was traded with Jonas Valanciunas and DeLon Wright to Memphis for Marc Gasol in our championship year. And that was an interesting episode. It was a lot about CJ's daughter being born, Ava, and how he was in a bad place because he was with the Raptors and he had a road trip and he went to play with us. But his daughter's about to be born. And he was like, maybe I shouldn't do this. And he kind of like, it's an interesting situation because he regretted going to play in the game and not being there for Ava. But he did get back in time to see her get born, I guess. But I mean, this may have informed some of his teammates after that, like Fred and other people that have had kids while the season's going on. Like we remember when Layla was born for Freddie, his third child, he took a lot of time off. He left the team for like a week and missed like 4 games. And I was like, man, why did you miss so many games for the birth of your child? Like that's only on one day when that happens. Well, pregnancy is an unexpected thing. It can happen in a range of time. And he just wanted to be absolutely ready and there to be there and witness it. Now, this is an interesting thing. It's like, I guess maybe Fred saw what happened with CJ and Ava and his stress about getting back to Toronto to see his daughter born and all this stuff. And maybe a lot of the players since after that have been kind of like, you know what? I'm not even going to mess with this. I don't want to be like CJ. I don't want to regret being on the road with the team. I'm going to ask the team to let me just have a leave of absence so I can be there for the birth of my child. Because that seems like the trend since then, that we've seen guys get excused absences for this, like Abaji this year. And, that's good. But yeah, it's cool to see the retrospective. And it's kind of funny to see CJ as a photographer now, and that he says all the lingo and what he used to say things as a 3-point shooter in the NBA. pertains to his new profession as a photographer. And he's really fallen in love with photography. I'll bet him and Siakam have a lot of discussions about pictures and taking pictures and cameras because they're really into it, the both of them, and they're both bench mount. So yeah, I had to bring up. I forgot to react to the open gym that came out on Sunday yesterday. Because there was so much going on, but yeah, that episode came out, and check it out, the brand new open gym. Check that out. Yeah. Let's keep going. Seymour saying this. All the trade talk is affecting team play. Please stop the shopping of our guys. It's messing with the team chemistry. I don't know if it's that exactly. I don't know if it's that. I mean, this period of the year is weaponized by the NBA media to make everybody feel uncomfortable, to kind of test the connectiveness and where the teams are with chemistry and stuff. This is a place where a thread can be pulled apart, where all of a sudden things get a little weird on the down low. But I think that if everybody's up front, and we know that Bobby and Masai before were always very honest and upfront with the players most of the time about things, not always, but most of the time they'd be giving them warning or what to expect. That's usually a good idea. But, these guys, when they're not doing well, you can see where they can start reading the writing on the wall. And in some ways, if you don't like the writing that's on the wall, well, change it, is what I would say. We'll change it. I think that Abaji, like I said, is very likely he's going to get traded. And that's just housekeeping. In some ways, that's the emergence of Martin. That's the possibility of Lawson. That's the glut of guard wings we have right now. And in some ways, Abaji isn't totally necessary for our team. He's a luxury. He's somebody that's absolutely amazing, a really good player, a fantastic true two-way. And we've showcased him and elevated his game here in Toronto in the last few years while he's been on our team. And he's gotten better, and he deserves to get paid commensurate with that. But it may not be from us, and it may not fit with us because we have a surplus at his position, and we have to make tough decisions. And in some ways, he's the oldest that in that kind of situation where he's going to get to the next level of pay. And it's really, does Bobby want to invest in him at that rate and keep him on the team? I would say in some ways, if it's it's the right rate, he is a keeper. I'm not saying I don't want Osha on our team. I think that he's fantastic. And I think that if he could be on our team and it all worked out, I would love that. But I'm just reading how things are looking right now and how things are going. I think he's a very useful player, and he's a championship type player. He's somebody that can help you win championships. It's just tough. The writing's on the wall, and that's part of it right there. You don't like the writing on the wall? We'll change it, Grady. That's what I'm saying, man. That's what's saying. Fiercey's here. Good morning to Fiercey. Good morning, fam, and happy Tuesday. This game was frustrating to watch, giving up so many points in the first quarter. Yeah, at a certain point, I didn't care, man. I didn't care. At a certain point, I didn't care. It was just kind of like, look, when you see the dominance of Joel, Maxey, and Paul George right from the start, and all three of them are going, it's like, okay, this is going to be like this. And they're running away from us. For the first few minutes, Brandon was keeping up with them and keeping us close. But at last, Brandon was the only one doing anything. And the rest of the Raptors were duds. And meanwhile, you had the three premium players of the Sixers all doing amazing things to help them in the first quarter. And, well, that's just how it went. No, Scotty's going to be tired, and he doesn't want to help us right from the beginning. Different other players are absolutely ineffective because they don't hit shots. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. And that's why Lex is wearing a purple shirt today. And this shirt is the 20th anniversary shirt that came out with the Raptor claw with all the Raptors names that played for the team at that time. And they're right in the middle, right at the heart of this thing is Lowry in big letters right there. DeRozan and Lowry. Yeah, a lot of y'all might have this shirt. But yeah, this is the 20th anniversary Raptors shirt. And I'm wearing it today because Lowry's name right in the middle there. Yeah. Avia Forrester's here. Hi, I was in Canada. Cool. It's a big country. Yeah, I'm glad you came, and I hope you enjoyed your time, is what I would say right there. Most saying, thanks for the time and chat. Vaughn Alexander was in Toronto for an interview. Okay, so he's here as an interview. Interesting. He was in town for an interview. So maybe he was just on City TV or NBA Canada or something like that. That's what he told you, that he was in town for an interview. Was he in town for an interview for a job, or was he in town for an interview with media? I wonder. That's interesting. That's interesting. Avia Forrester saying, as a head coach, you were in Canada as a head coach. Were you the head coach of Canada, like Nick Nurse? Really? That's cool. Like Jordy Fernandez. Yeah. Fiercely saying this, giving shine to Kyle made me forget about our performance. What a feeling it was to see him on the court. I rewatched the clip over and over. So wholesome. Bravo, Scotiabank Arena crowd. Yeah, the ones who stayed. Bravo. Bravo. Real ones that stayed till the very end and got that moment with Kyle. Good job. And everybody went home early. Shame on you. You missed out on a Raptor history moment because you had to beat traffic. That's right. That's right. That's right. Superfan Most saying, as I said, fans left early in the third. Yeah, jabronis. Jabronis left early in the third, Monique. Jabronis. Jabronis left early in the third. That's right. That's right. Kesper is saying this. By the way, playing too hard against Embiid right now could have gotten us more injuries, which we couldn't afford. Got to think big picture here. That's a good point. That's a good point. Man, Kesper's really been an interesting new person in the comments. They're fact checking me, and then also really astute observations and perceptions. Like, you're exactly right. We lost Jacoby in the game before on a really weird, innocuous kind of injury, and this is something we need to take into account. Yeah, for sure. Joel is a dangerous player. Exactly. You're exactly right. Man, he looked good in some ways, but he didn't look good in some ways. Like, when he comes up and down the court, he's so lumbersome. I think that's the right word, lumbersome or lumbering. He's lumbering up the court. And I wish we had ran them off the court, but in some ways we didn't do that because we were on the second night of a back-to-back and we were tired. That may have been by design by Nick. Think about it. I'm going to be like Kesper, and I'm going to think big picture here. Maybe Nick knew the fresh Raptors on Sunday night would run Joel off the court, and he'd be in more danger to get hurt or be ineffective because we ran him off the court and tired him out. But on the second night of a back-to-back, when the Raptors had played in overtime and won by 1 point, maybe Joel can survive that ecosystem because we're a little worn out. That's the kind of strategy and tactician kind of stuff that Nick would figure out. He would figure out. And maybe Paul was like, yeah, you know what, Paul, you're old too. And you're lumbersome too. So you know what? You take the night off too. And you'll take on the Raptors when they're tired on the second night of the back-to-back. And it was no coincidence that the only guy who didn't play on Sunday night was the only guy who was effective in the first quarter was Brandon Ingram. And that's something right there. You got Embiid and Paul George get off to a good start because they're fresh. Brandon gets off to a good start because he's fresh. And Maxey, well, I was asking this in the Discord last night. Does Maxey ever get tired? I don't think he does. That dude never gets tired. I'm like, when does this guy get tired? He's playing like 40 minutes a game the whole season, and he's like carrying so much, and he's scoring so much, and he's like 50% of their offense. Does that man ever get tired? Seriously. Maxey was cocky in these last two games. In some ways, he's graduated from a young player to a more mature player and a more of a leader and a more confident one too, and a more powerful NBA player. And it's interesting to see that. In some ways, his wholesome kind of like, I'm just a young guy who's innocent and I'm working hard and I'm a good kid kind of guy. He's got a little bit more of a villain presence now in some ways because he's a little bit more cocky and he's talking trash. It's crazy. I don't know if it's Elijah that was bringing it out in the Sixers, but man, Maxey was talking more trash than I've ever seen him talk trash in these two games against the Raptors. Usually he's very quiet and he lets his game do the talking. But he was talking a lot of smack these last two games, specifically with Shed and Martin and Quickly. And Quickly's like, it's funny the different reactions of the three of them, because I was watching this real close. You got Shed, who's kind of like, yeah, okay, all right. He's making faces like this when Maxey's talking to him. He's like, yeah, okay, right. And Maxey's like, no, y'all can't stop me. Y'all can't guard me. And he was right. None of them could guard him. And then like he's coming at Emmanuel. Emmanuel's like, don't do this tired shit you did to me in practice in Kentucky. Come on, man. I'm not having this. And he's just kind of like smiling and not really engaging with Tyrese Maxey on the shit talk and the kind of back and forth that kind of happens. And it's kind of funny too because you can tell that they have a deep connection and their friendship is really kind of interesting because it's competitive, but it's also like there is some love there. And but at the same time, I bet you Emmanuel gets annoyed with Maxi, like in so many different ways. He gets annoyed with him because he gets compared to him all the time, and he probably gets annoyed with him when he has to play him and listen to him talk trash. Because I know Manny wasn't really talking trash back to him, he was kind of just putting up with him and rolling his eyes, like kind of okay, right. And then Martin, though, when Martin's engaging with Maxi, he's like, apparently Elijah's gonna be like this, and this is gonna be like if he's gonna play more and more in the NBA, he's gonna have to watch out. Like the double technical with him and Joel last night, it was entertaining, but in some ways, you don't want to get into this all the time or get a reputation like this. Elijah's talking mad shit. And in some ways, he doesn't totally have the checks to cash to do this. He doesn't. He's not established totally in the NBA yet. And in some ways, I like it. It's very ballsy. I like the fact that him and Joel got into it and they got double text. But also, it's like, don't make this your MO. Don't make this something that is just commonplace, Elijah Martin in the NBA. Because if you're at a certain point of the rotation and you're not totally established as a regular, you can lose time because you cause problems like this, Elijah. So you're going to have to pick and choose your trash talk. And in some ways, it's very funny that you went at the former MVP, Joel Embiid, and did the trash talk last night. Hilarious. And we know Joel is an immature guy who will engage in talking trash because he's the kind of guy that would say, if you come up to him and say, I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you say, bounce off, stick you. No, he'll take the bait and he'll get into like a whole argument with you if you like come at him in any kind of way because he's not very mentally tough. Let's just put it that way. And Martin and Embiid fighting on the court, talking trash and getting the technicals hilarious. But this, you don't want this to be a calling card, AM. Seriously, you don't want this to be a calling card yet. Maybe when you get yourself to a certain level and you can do it with backing it up really, really strongly. But right now, man, it's too dangerous. And like, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. I mean, I get it. You talking to Maxi because you're guarding each other, that's something. You can do a little trash talk there where you're like, I'll guard you and do this. You try and stop me. I'll try and stop you. But when you're jawing with the guy you don't actually, I mean, you did have to match up with him a couple times on switches. In some ways, yeah, I don't know. We don't want this kind of trend. So it's interesting to see the three different guys on our team dealing with Maxi's trash talk. Very different approaches. Very different approaches. Jamal was definitely engaging with him in a competitive way and talking like that. And that's why Maxi was so vocal towards our bench during this series. It's like these guys are saying all this crazy shit and I'm torching y'all and I'm telling your bench, yeah, you guys can't stop me. I mean, that's all. I respect the Maxi. I'm not going to say any of this. You're exactly right. And in some ways, these guys are trying their best, but they're competitors, and they're going to try and do their best against you. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Smooth saying this at this point, trade for Marvin Bagley. Just get a 5 who can start and hold on, please. Yeah, that would be. That's a great name. He's been on my fantasy team for a couple months now, and he's been super solid for the Wizards as a veteran big. He's a rebound machine and he definitely takes up space and he does seem to get up and down the court pretty good. And he's got great NBA vet experience. So he's not on a learning curve. And if he's a smart, heady guy who can pick up our system quick, unlike Mo Bamba, then, maybe he's the right answer. He's definitely in my top 5 possible people to come to the Raptors to help us. Yeah, he's definitely one of them for sure. I like that name right there. Let's see. G saying this. Some Sixers fans are so disrespectful to Kyle. My goodness. Well, they know that he's not truly with them. And that's why he says things like this in his press conference last night. These are the most special and best fans in the league. Do you think Sixers fans get mad when they hear one of their own players say that? Of course they do. Of course they do. In some ways, Kyle's playing actively for the Sixers, but he's a turncoat the whole time. And in some ways, it's just like in Miami, it's all ruined. They can't like Lowry as much as we do. They just can't. It's impossible. And the connection built between the Heat Nation and Lowry and the Sixers Nation and Lowry is just not ever going to be the same. You just can't replicate the history and the path that Kyle went through in Toronto in either of those places. And in some ways that did influence his opinion and perspective of the fan nations. And yeah, he's saying we're the best. We're the best. And you don't think Philadelphia fans get pissed when they hear Kyle's post-game interview and he's saying, "Yeah, the Toronto's just so special, man. This is the best fans in the league. The best fans in the league. They've treated me the best out of all the fans in the league." That's what he said. Not Heat fans, not Sixers fans, not Grizzlies fans, not Rockets fans. No, Raptors fans. And that's part of it right there. And that's part of why they're disrespectful. I mean, they're going to be disrespectful against stuff like this. I mean, some of them are disrespectful to Nick, too, because of certain things. They're disrespectful to Alvin Williams because he's a turncoat and he's with the Toronto side of things as a man from Germantown. So it's like, it's just like that. And it's like, you know what? It's kind of like a weird thing where it's like Kyle's with a new boyfriend, but he still loves us more. It's like from afar, he's kind of like, I love you more, even though I'm with this person. It's like something like that. Seriously, it's something like that. All right, let's keep going with the chat. Raptors Champs is saying the question is, do you want a guard with 0 assists with 20 points or a facilitator who makes everyone else have easier shots? Well, that's not a question. Are you asking about quickly? That's not a question because it's on a given night by a need by need basis. He can change it. It's like a setting on a lawnmower. Oh, I'm going to put the blade down lower. I'm going to bring the blade up. You can change this when you come in the game with your mindset and how you're going to play that night. And the luxury of the combo guard that Emmanuel Quickly is that you can give him an orientation before the game on what is his assignment. And I'm telling you right now, with the people that were out and the way things were going, they wanted him to score. And obviously, the Raptors' offense was so anemic, they needed him to try and score more than try and facilitate. And when you have a lineup of Quick Shed, it's very natural that Shed is the point guard and Quickly is the combo shooting guard in that situation, in that lineup. So there's nothing wrong with what Quickly did last night. In some ways, he was playing shooting guard. And that's what his assignment was. Now, against Indiana, Darko comes up to him and says, we need you to revert back to playing traditional point guard. He'll do that then. So that's what you got to understand. The options are there, Raptors Champs. The options are there for him to go in either mode on either night. And if he's starting with Shed, it's obvious. He's the combo guard. He's the shooting guard. He's the 2. And Shed is the 1. Yeah, Reggie's saying this. Broken record? Yes. The lack of a 5 on this team is glaring. It's a broken record. It's an ongoing thing for like 6 years now, guys. This is not new. This is something since Mark and Serge left after 2020. This is what this is after the pandemic. Pretty much the pandemic came and the Raptors have not had center depth ever since. And that's just how it is. We're going to try and fix this. You know, it's not an easy fix. We all say, why don't they just do this? You don't think they've been trying to? You don't think they're trying to do this? It's just that this is a scarce position. And that they've trying hard. You know, Mobamba is a close shot towards it, but he's not good enough. So what does that tell you about things? That the scarcity of this position and what we need is really tough. And the commodity of a big is the opposite of a point guard. Point guards are a dime a dozen. You could get a point guard like there's so many. It's like there's so many. To be a good point guard and stick is tough because it's so competitive. There's so many. To be a good center in the league and be in the league, well, that's easier because there's not as many of you. And if you're a big that has a combination of getting up and down the court physically fast with the size and the ability and the strength, woo-wee, you're in the league. But if you're too slow, if you're dumb and you don't get things right mentally, you know, there's a lot to it. It's like these guys don't grow on trees, man. It seems like it. You know, you look around the league, you're like, man, they have a lot of centers. Man, why can't we have that many centers? I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this. I have conspiracy theories that we're governed by the NBA to not be allowed to have more than one center on our team. I have conspiracy theories that GMs across the league are holding out competitively from interacting with us and dealing with centers other than Popovich and the Spurs, who are they're like, yeah, you want Pirtle, we'll trade you back. You know, there's that team at least works with us. But who's to say that the rest of the league is like, no, we're not trading you a center. You know, who knows what it is? We don't live on the moon like Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri before him. We don't know what the GM job realistically is really like in reality. We can only speculate as fans from the outside, making up our own bullshit in our heads and say, oh, this is so easy. Why don't we just get Day'Ron Sharpe? This is so easy. We don't know the reality of the situation. And that's why, as fans, we got to just trust Bobby that he's going to do the best that he can in the situations that are presented in front of him. And we will do what we can to do what we can. You know, that's the best, the only thing we can do. Otherwise, it's like, look, he's hearing us, and maybe they signing Mobamba for that really quick little stint was kind of a nod. It's like, here you go, fans. Here, you wanted that. There you go. This is what you get. But I'm going to be a responsible fiscal manager of our salary cap and our money. And well, he's not guaranteed because look at, I live on the moon, guys. You guys don't live on the moon like I do. I'm Bobby Webster, your GM and head of basketball operations. And well, we assessed Mobamba when he came in, and he's not going to work out. I'm sorry, guys. I know that you guys wanted him really bad, but we cannot put the money in for him guaranteed for the rest of the season. It will have a detrimental effect. And the I've assessed as the GM of the Raptors that this is not worth the money and the cap stuff that would happen for what he would give us. And that's my opinion as the GM and what I've seen and analyzed and talked to with the coaches and what they have analyzed from working with Mobamba at this time. This is all shit that he could say to us, but he won't because it's private. He could probably say exactly similar what I just said. If he really came out and gave us the reasoning for Mobamba coming and going so quick. You know, that's the thing, man. There's so much more to it that is, it's not just as simple as your NBA video game. It's not that simple, Raptors fans. And we got to understand that Bobby's dealing with a lot of different things, not just the making the money line up or having willing trade partners and willing people in the league that will talk to him about this subject. It's also like there may be rules, there may be politics involved. There may very well be weird politics that we don't even have any idea about, like whether it's like players that are xenophobic and say, no, I won't go to Canada, or whether it's just the league in some ways on the down low holding us back in weird policy ways or procedure ways. Say, no, the Raptors, you can't do that. You can't do that. I don't know. We don't know. We don't live on the moon. And, we know this. We can be broken records. We know this. And I'm sure Bobby's going to do what he can to try and make this work. In some ways, this is not what matters right now for the Raptors. I know y'all want to be perfect in the moment right now. That's not what matters right now. In some ways, we're a rebuilding team and we're doing discovery. We're doing things about figuring out who are going to be the pieces that we hold on to and go forward towards the second Larry O'Brien with. And it's not near the end of the assignment. When you're near the end of the assignment, then you go get Marc Gasol. And in some ways, that may be the big thing. And the philosophy of Ujiri and Webster over the years with the Raptors is let's make that big move to seal the deal and get it with the center, because that's the last piece. That's the last one. And if you can get a veteran center like Marc Gasol, who you can plug in, and he's just so astute and smart, and he just comes in and he knows it all right away. Boom, look at the bonus he adds to you and puts you over the top, and boom, 2019 championship. So could it be Brandon Ingram is the big move like Kawhi to set up the superstar, and that Marc Gasol move will come closer to when we're realistically challenging for the championship? Does that make sense? We could invest in a bunch of big centers and they could be duds and they could just take up parts of our salary. So maybe Bobby's like, the most risky position in the NBA is the center. You can get a black hole of paying the dudes too much money and he's absolutely useless to your team. That's the thing. So I think that's what it is, guys. I think that the Raptors will get the backup center for solidifying that issue that we're talking about right now closer to when we're closer to challenging. Who knows? I mean, I love the insurance of doing this. In some ways, we're like, well, I would love to win right now. But is our ultimate goal to win the championship this year? Sure, if we could do it, but I don't think that's realistic. So we just got to play the games, look at what we're doing, and analyze it. And if Bobby gets the opportunity, I'm sure he'll jump on it. Yeah. Trendy Views is saying, I miss watching Chucky play. I know. Good to see you again, Trendy Views. I think I remember you from either 905 chat or coming in here before. Thanks for coming back, and thanks for the sub. Yeah, I feel bad for Chucky. This is not a good time to get hurt. I mean, it really isn't. Man, I hope that he heals fast, and I hope that he can come back to the team before the end of the season and actually play some at the end of the year. Because two things. If he can come back and play for Andrew Jones on the 905, it may be right around when we're doing some major things with the G League playoffs. And, Chucky could really be a boost around that time to really help us close out and get to another G League championship. Because that's really what we're trying to do. Andrew Jones told me personally. He sent me a message on Instagram saying, we're going to try and win the G League championship. I'm like, okay, do it. Do it, man. Do it. I believe you. Your record tells me exactly that I believe you. Chucky comes back. He helps the 905 in their playoff run. And hopefully he comes over and plays for the Raptors more near the end of the season also. So, yeah, wishing and praying and hoping for Chucky's speedy recovery so that he can come back to his career and keep going. Keep going. That's what it's saying, man. This is scary times. Trendy Views. Thank you again. Reggie saying Embiid did what he wanted. A hobbled Joel Embiid at that. Yeah. Yeah, it's whatever. He's goofy, man. The thing that there's an article about them being in Orlando before they came to Toronto, and the media scrum was crowding Kyle Lowry's locker and asked him a bunch of questions. And Joel walked over and said, "Why are they talking to you? Like, why are they talking to you? This is so disrespectful. So disrespectful." Joel's like, "Why are they talking to Kyle? Why wouldn't they want to talk to Kyle? Joel, why wouldn't they?" He's like, "Why are they talking to you?" And Kyle's like, "Oh, because we're going to Toronto and they want to ask me about returning to the place where I beat your ass in the championship." Joel's like, oh. They want to talk to a cheerleader or something like that. It's so disrespectful. Like, that kind of stuff is interesting to me. I'll bet Kyle has a really weird relationship with Joel Embiid. Like, they're teammates for a couple years now, right? But man, Kyle Lowry is a big source of the pain in Joel's life from that series Kawhi Leonard shot. That's got to be kind of awkward in some cases. In some ways, Kyle has things to lord over Joel, but Joel has things to lord over Kyle. I'm an MVP, Kyle. Well, in some ways, we'd say, how the hell did you get that? Honestly, you've never won jack shit. Most NBA MVPs have won, and you're the one that has not. And then, Kyle can always say, yeah, but I have a ring, bro. I have a ring, and I got that ring by beating your ass. I don't know. I feel like Joel should be more respectful to the veteran on his team named Kyle Lowry. And but it was funny. He's coming in the game last night, and Joel's like pushing him down the sideline to come into the game. He's like, "Go, get out there." I mean, it'd be weird, man, to see what they talk about, like around each other on the team bus and stuff like that. I wonder if Kyle is often like just talking shit because he has a ring, and most of those guys on that team do not. I bet you he does. He should be doing that. In some ways, he can like, I need to get you to talk to Nick, because Nick can tell you all about winning a championship just like I can, but you can't. Seriously, it's weird, man. Seymour saying, please keep IQ and RJ. Yeah, I'm with that. I'm with that, Seymour. I'm with that. There's a lot more press out that's sewering Manuel right now, and it's disheartening. There's some people putting it out there that the Raptors are shopping him like crazy right now. I don't know if that's totally true, but it could be. I don't know. I don't want it to be true. I don't want to believe that Bobby Webster has kind of already decided that like Emmanuel's not for our future. I don't like that. I think that he is for our future. I think that there's a lot of things about him that are very valuable and good. And I don't know what is exactly true in this situation, because I could see some of the side, especially with all the sewering of Emmanuel recently by Raptors Nation in certain ways, that maybe Bobby is thinking this thing too. Like, it's like, man, maybe we should try and shop IQ out of here. I don't know. In some ways, I don't want that to be true, because I do want Emmanuel to stay as a Raptor with his friend RJ. And I think he's doing fine. I think that a lot of the overanalyzing him is just science lab, and they need to put their microscopes up. Seriously, just let that man play. Let that man be who he is. He's putting the work the right way, and he's going to come through in the right way too. So just trust Manuel, and please let him do what he's going to do. And if Bobby decides to move him, so be it. Then we decide then. But we don't as fans push for it. We don't as fans throw him under the bus and say, I want Manuel off this team. I want Emmanuel off. No, that's toxic fan behavior. Until he's out of here and he's gone, I say don't do this, because he's on our team. He's under contract, and we want to go forward with him. And you don't want to cause toxic bullshit on there underneath. It's not worth it. It's like he could end up being a Raptor for the rest of his career. And it could be something like Lowry, where y'all acted so shitty to Lowry early in his career, and then you see what he became later. That's what I'm saying. Emmanuel's that kind of player. Emmanuel could be getting a lot of crap right now, And then all of a sudden he hits more game winners like he did recently. And all of a sudden he's more and more of a Raptors legend. And then all of a sudden it's just like Kyle Lowry. It's not exactly that level, but I'm just saying there was a path with Kyle with our team where he was acrimonious and the fans were weird with him. They were very shitty to him, just like Emmanuel right now. So realize this, Raptors fans. This is your behavioral pattern for winners, for guys that could actually probably do good things for us, like Fred, like Kyle, like Emmanuel quickly. So that's part of what I'm wondering. I'm wondering what they're going to do. If we hear that Emmanuel got traded, I'll be like, whoa, it did happen. But I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen. I want him to stick around because I do feel like he's a very valuable player for us. G saying Pascal with the game winner against the Celtics. Happy for Pascal. Yeah, he's a badass, man. And I love that he's developed to this point as a franchise player to be a capable game winner guy because that's not something that he was comfortable doing for us, even when he was already an all-star and a most improved player and so many good accolades. I was crying out for Siakam to take the onus on him to carry at the end and make the big shot and win the game for us. He shied away from it. He did not want that in a lot of cases, but it's nice to see that he's gotten the level in his career that he's doing it now for the Pacers. And I'm happy for him. Oh, I love that it was the Celtics. I love that it was the Celtics for sure, man. So happy for Pascal. That's right. That's right. Mo saying amazing, amazing standing ovation for GROAT though. Yeah, and he felt touched. You could tell Kyle. Man, that's part of why Sixers fans are kind of mad at him is because you can't fake that emotion. You can't fake that connection. You can't fake the just pure love that is between Toronto Raptors, Canada, Toronto, and Kyle Lowry. I mean, heck, why wouldn't he be like this, Philadelphia fans? We've named a road in Toronto Kyle Lowry Way. And that in some ways is like something like he's just tickled about. Seriously, he has a road named for him in our city. You know, I don't know if y'all have a Kyle Lowry Way in Philadelphia, but we do in Toronto. And that's part of it, man. That's part of the specialness. The kids were born here. He went through a metamorphosis as a player and his mentality as a man to become who he is at this point. And in some ways, there was no guarantees he would ever get out of being an asshole when he was in Memphis and Houston and coming to Toronto. There was no guarantees that Kyle Lowry would ever psychologically change to the leader and the player that he became in the NBA, because in some ways he was a knucklehead. And in some ways he needed Dwayne Casey and Masai Ujiri to come to him and have real talk with him. Seriously. Because they did. They had real talk with him and they said, look, this is how it is. And it's up to you what you want to do. And Kyle heard them and he listened to them and he made the changes. And boy, did he make those changes. And in some ways, that whole process, that all happened here. And that's why. That's why. That's why right there. That's right. Reggie's saying maybe people wanted to beat traffic. Yeah, whatever. You're idiots. It's like stupid still. Like if you're a knowledgeable Raptors fan, you should have known that this was possibly going to happen. Why were the fans already chanting, we want Lowry in the third quarter? Because they knew. And the casuals didn't. And they got in their cars and went home. I don't care. That's not an excuse. You're trying to beat traffic. Traffic's bad in Toronto anyway, all the time anyway. And if you're like me, you know the secret ways out of around a Scotiabank Arena without even getting into traffic. Because I do. I went to that game on Sunday night. Did I wait in traffic when I left the arena? No. Because I know the route out of there where you don't even deal with any traffic. It's crazy. I'm really, listen, this is kind of my forte. Is knowing where to go, driving the car, and getting places fast around traffic and stuff. I know the routes in Toronto. Let's just say delivery driver for a while, all kinds of different things. So learning that. Yeah. Let's see. Seymour saying this. No knock on those who left early. It was a poor performance. That's just my take. Time is precious. Use it wisely. That's what I'm saying. Well, why even go down to the fucking game if you're going to be a loser that leaves early? That's what I say, Seymour. Well, if you think your time's so precious, don't even fucking come to the game. That's what I say. Seriously. Yeah. I don't care if they lost like that. This is your team. You root for them. You stand by them. And you go with them. And all the fans that were chanting defense in the fourth quarter last night, trying to help them make a possible comeback, kudos to y'all. Y'all are the real ones. Y'all are the real ones. And you did it like I would have. I would have stayed to the bitter end. I would have done defense every time the Sixers had the ball right up until the final buzzer. And let's go Raptors chants, all that kind of stuff. You guys are the real ones. And I appreciate the fans that did that because honestly, the game was kind of already over. And y'all kept on doing it. And I was like, those are my people. That's what I was saying. I was like, man, I was watching the game last night. I was like, those are my people. But it was quiet in that arena at times. In fact, I heard that beer salesman over the TV last night, my arch enemy in the arena, the one that Tom Duke cussed out. This is so stupid. This is such a dumb story. In the section I often sit in, 114, there's a beer salesman that has that section at the Scotiabank Arena, and he's ice cold beer, refreshing beer. Oh, don't you want one? He's such a good salesman. And I've talked about him before on this channel, I think back in the past when this happened. And he was at the game on Sunday night when we were sitting there, and I was like, "Oh, Adriana, there's that guy." Well, I heard him on their broadcast last night doing his spiel, ice cold beer. And if you go to the games, you know what I'm talking about because you heard him. Well, he's an alcoholic's nightmare, seriously, because that man makes the beer sound so tempting. He's just such a salesman and a wordsmith. He's like frothy, luscious, delicious beer. He's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, shut that man up. This man's gonna ruin my 15 years chip. Seriously, the way he's selling alcohol in there like that. He's an alcoholic's nightmare. And I could hear him on the TV last night because it was too quiet at certain points in the arena. I could actually hear him calling the beers out. That's crazy, man. That's crazy, man. Kessler is saying could be corporate suits, just gifted tickets and just there for culture, but less knowledge of the game. That's probably a lot of truth to that. Yeah. Yeah. There's all kinds of different reasons why somebody would leave the game. But I would just say, if you're a fan that you know what's going on, you know that this may be happening at the end of the game. Why would you leave? Why would you leave? And I'll bet you, like I said, there's a bunch of people this happens all the time, whether it was the game on Sunday night. Some people left early from that game. Ridiculous idiots. They missed a crazy ass amazing game in overtime. There's just some people that have bad timing for this. Maybe they get impatient. They're like, oh no, I'm just gonna go. Okay. I mean, I shouldn't judge them, but in some ways I do because they bought a ticket and their empty seat is shown on TV for the rest of the game. And that section down there near where the announcers sit and the Herbie and all them was very empty in the second half last night. And it looks bad on TV. It looks very bad. And that, unfortunately, the types that are going to leave, like what Kesper just said, are usually sitting in those seats. Yeah, usually sit in those seats. Randolph's here. Good morning to Randolph Phillips. Blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks family. Always have a positive perspective on life. Think positively and approach everything with optimism, believing that things will be fine. I love this. I'm believing in this more and more. I'm doing Reiki work and I'm doing all kinds of different stuff to try and get good abundance and good happiness coming into my life and more blessings. You see blessings in your life, they multiply. That's what it is right there. Blessings to the Phillips family and all the Raptor Freak families. Thank you for the words of wisdom, Randolph. This does seem like a running theme for the words of wisdom today is think positive and your life will be positive. I like that. Seymour saying this, if we were all the same, the world would be lame. Push positivity over negative vibes 2026. Well, I'm allowed my opinion. And I get it. Yeah, I completely agree with you on your statement. If we're all the same, we'd be lame. Sure. And there's some people that want everybody to think the same way. And that's people that are in power in the United States right now. They want to tell everybody how to think and who they should be and all that. I get this. This is me, and this is my opinion. I just feel like you pay so much money to go to Raptors game. Why wouldn't you want to get the value out of it? And maybe some people get upset about what I'm saying. I mean, this is my opinion. You know how I am, ride or die for the Raptors. I'm getting up every morning doing the show. It's insulting to me to see people that will leave in the middle of it. It's kind of like if somebody was doing a concert or a stand-up comedian and you're in the room and you're doing your jokes and all of a sudden half the room just leaves in the middle of your show. How do they feel? I get it. It's like some ways, I think that there's some Raptors fans or nation, I should call them, not necessarily fans, that are very much like you have to earn my cheering and my fandom and my presence in the building. And that if you're not playing good enough, I'll leave. Oh, if you're not doing things right, I will not cheer. These are the people that annoy me. They're hoity-toity snobs, and they're like, oh, you have to earn my fandom, Raptors. And if you don't play well enough, well, I'm not coming to the games. There's a fans out there that won't go to Blue Jays games unless they have a winning record in the standings. There's some fans that won't go to a Raptors game, and if they see them get blown out by 20, they're out the door. Like, what is this? This is not ride or die. This is not true fandom. In fact, when the team is down and in a bad place, that's when they need us the most. So yeah, I'm gonna have a different opinion with you on this, and this will exemplify what you're talking about right here. I think that they're sellouts and they're casuals, and for whatever reasons they're leaving. Well, if they don't care, they don't care, and they probably won't care what I say if they don't care about seeing Kyle Lowry get that moment at the end of the game. That's their right. But I have my right to my opinion that they're sellouts and they're casuals and they're not true Raptors fans. And that's true. I think that that's true what I said just now. I think that's true. I think that's true. Smooth saying this, maybe SGA's dad likes basketball. He can't be in Oklahoma City all the time. I'm just trying to figure it out. Maybe it's conspiracy theory. Maybe it's like me, Windhursting, Vaughn Alexander at the Raptors game, but they're not playing Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't know. I don't know. It's fun. SGA to Toronto rumors. Come on, let's start them. Let's go. Let's go, right? Smith saying nothing to read into, man. SGA loves Oklahoma City, not going anywhere. See, now that's negative to me, Reggie. That's going against what Seymour's saying. We're supposed to be more positive in 2026. How dare you say such a negative thing? See, it's all perception, guys. We can make it whatever it is. How dare you say that SGA will never come to Toronto? Jeez, Reggie. Jeez, come on now. Monique saying this after all these years, Scotty's been on the team. I won a Scotty jersey last night. Do you know how expensive these jerseys are? Yeah, I do. I buy them sometimes. They could be $200 these days. They used to be more reasonable. I did buy my RJ jersey for $90 at the Scotia at Paramount Fine Food Center at 905 game. That was awesome. That was a really good deal. So you got a Scotty jersey finally? That's awesome. You got quite the collection, I'm sure, Monique. I'm sure you got quite the collection. Let's see. Raptor Champs is saying, I used to go clubbing with SGA's dad. Next time, call him Legend. He'll be shocked to hear that name. Interesting. 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 So many giveaways last night. Well, they give away like jerseys to the crowd like crazy now. It's like SunTrust jersey giveaway. And like I said, the fans get so crazy for those giveaways and get so loud. You're telling on yourself. You need to be doing that for the game too. Oh no, you're just coming up here. The Raptors have to earn your respect to cheer for them. Oh, but you'll cheer the hell out of for a T-shirt. Okay, I see your priorities. I see y'all's priorities. I'll lose my voice for chanting defense and trying to help the team. Y'all lose your voice for your own selfish want for swag. Yeah, I see that. I see that happening in that league and that arena. That's right. That's right. Randolph saying Lex and Freaks. The Sixers with their best team had to be perfect to beat our incomplete team. They didn't have to be perfect, but they were perfect last night. 80 in the field first half and only 35 in the second half. We can beat them. Well, it was two things that had the dichotomy of the first and second half for the Sixers offense. And Nick explained one of them is that they really felt the second night of the back-to-back in the second half, and they lagged for that. But also, Darko and the Raptors coaches did an adjustment for the second half to slow them down. And we did win the second half, but they won the first half so well that it's sustained and they carried all the way to the end. But we definitely won the second half of the game last night. We definitely did. Reggie's saying Sixers took their foot off the gas in the second half, and they were tired. They were tired. That they did what they did. And Paul George and Joel, well, just because they were fresh, the rest of the team was gassed because they did an overtime game against us the night before. And that makes sense. The second half of the back-to-back, there a lot of people are tired on both sides. That makes sense. That makes complete sense. Reggie's saying this. Sometimes you just have to give the other team credit. Philly had all their guys and took care of business. Realistically, this was a scheduled loss for the Raps. See, man, I feel like that's negative too. Like you've got a negative mindset, just like Kareem also. That you're slanting things in a negative way here. Sometimes you're Eoring is what I hear this thing. Sometimes you just have to give the other team credit. A Debbie Downer kind of thing. I mean, I get that. You're right. We should give them credit for having such a good start and having all their offensive cylinders firing because they did at the beginning of the game. And that absolutely set the tone and got them the win. Absolutely. This was a scheduled loss for Raptors. That was not true. Because there, I thought, they tried to kill us on the first game. That was a scheduled loss. The loss on Sunday night win was a scheduled loss that didn't take. And that's why it's so amazing. They did a ref hit job in the game and they didn't take. It's like they tried to assassinate us and we stayed alive and we had the will to survive. That was the scheduled loss. but it became a W. The game last night, we had the ability to beat them. It's just that we came out flat and they came out guns firing and they kicked our ass. But I'm going to say this right now, that ref crew wasn't going to stop us if we had carried the momentum from Sunday night into the game last night and somehow we were kicking their ass and doing really well. Our energy was good. They wouldn't have gotten in the way of our team winning. We could have swept this series. The important part was getting the first game on Sunday because that's the one they were going to demoralize us and try and make us lose. If they had had their way, the Sixers would have swept us both games. But we stopped the schedule loss on Sunday night, and we won by 1 point in overtime. The game last night was up for grabs. If Darko and the team had been able to carry their momentum from the night before into that game and continued with that energy and withstood Joel and Paul George coming back, we could have won that game last night too. So the schedule loss was Sunday. If you're going to pick anything like that, we just got out of it, man. We just got out of it. Bryce is here. Good morning to Bryce Lawson, holding it down in Kentucky. I feel bad because I was so mad. I turned the game off right before Kayla was called up. Once Maxey pump faked and stepped through for a three, I just cut it off. See? That's what I'm saying. You guys can't watch emotionally like this. You've got to watch the game with open eyes and just perception. You missed that moment. See, look at that. I feel bad for Bryce too. It's like, look, because he's a real one. He's a real Raptor freak. And in some ways, that's what I'm saying, guys. Stick with your team, ride or die, even if it hurts, even if it feels bad. In some ways, as a real fan, not a casual, you got to feel those feelings with your team as they go through it. And sometimes those feelings suck. But that makes you a real one that ride or dies with them because you went through the emotions with them, whether it's the elation of a 1 point win in overtime or a loss like last night where you just got crushed. You know, you guys, in some ways, you've got to take your own ego out of it and say, this is not actually happening to me personally, but I feel the emotions with the guys and I feel it because I care about them. But I have to detach myself also and keep it separated to the point of my real life. Does that make sense? Because we can ride or die with them and go through all the emotions with them, but also I have to practice 5 minutes later. All right, the game's over. I'm moving on with my life and I'm going to go do the next thing I do in my day. And I'm not going to dwell on this and let this ruin the rest of my day. That's really the best way to do it. Stay present, stay in the moment, feel the emotions with them in the moment, but don't hold on to them too long. And if you can, make it through the game, ride or die with them. Even if it's painful, even if it's pissing you off, even if Maxey's pump fake is like this and that, just stick to them. Stick to them. At least you can see the footage. And you weren't there live, so it's not like you left the arena like I'm talking about either. You just turned the TV off. And, a lot of people turn the TV off on Sunday night and missed a crazy overtime. The same thing is crazy. Kesper is saying this, laugh out loud. I just had a thought. What if we instead gave Kyle a tribute by coming back from 30 like he did for us in the 2019-20 season? Laugh out loud. I'm trying to figure this out. You're saying, what if we instead gave Kyle a tribute by coming back from 30? Oh, like last night, if we had won the game and done that? Yeah, there were little mini tributes in the game. I think that Shed taking that charge late in the game was such a Lowry tribute because it was a very fast break and the Sixers were coming fast and Shed didn't have much time to get set in the lane. He really took a strong charge. Like he took a strong charge and he got knocked over. And I love that Dedrick Taylor and JD Rawls called that right away. They called that right away. They weren't even like trying to think, oh, was he moving? Was he set? Was he out of the restricted area? No, they knew that was a charge and they called it right away. They were like, that way. Yeah, that was a Lowry tribute right there. Shed taking the charge very much. They asked Kyle last night in the post-game interview, what moment in Raptors history stands out to you as like your iconic most like moment? And he didn't say anything. He's like, I can't think of any specific moment. There's just a ton of them. And I can't think of any kind of like standout, just one moment. I was going to say, like, if they're going to make a statue of you, Kyle, outside the Scotiabank Arena, it's of you taking a charge, right? A lot of people have said that in some ways, the whole act of taking a charge is the iconic symbol of you on this team. And it's so deep when you really think about that whole idea of him being the leader and taking charges in the NBA over the last, 15 years. And just being that guy and known for sacrificing himself for the team. Like that's just so poetic and just so awesome. Yeah, if we had came back from that, that could have been a really cool tribute. You're totally right, Kespra. And somebody was joking, I think it was Blake Murphy, was saying we should steal Kyle for the second half since they're not playing him and put any four Raptors with him and we'll come back and beat them. Like Murphy making that Blue Skies post last night saying, can we have Kyle for just the second half and we'll put any four Raptors out there and we'll try and come back from the deficit. I thought that was funny, Blake. It was really, really funny stuff there. Most saying Vaughn Alexander will be back in Toronto on Friday for the game we talked about, Oklahoma City. That's right, because Oklahoma City's going to be here in town, right? We're going to play them very soon here. MVP stuff, and Morse said he might have a jersey for me. What do I do? You take it. What do you mean? You take it. If Vaughn Alexander's coming to you with a signed SGA jersey, what are you going to do, Monique? Go and take it, right? I don't know what you do. Let's see. If Monique's got good problems. Let's just put it that way. Fiercely saying, I'll take tremendous. Yeah, tremendous is better than fascinating. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you learned a little bit about the sound bites. I think Nick's in a better place. Like he seems healthier. Like he's not as ruddy and weird and red faced and stressed out and looking like he's all like oh messed up. No, he looks like he's a little healthier at this point. Like he's settled down a little bit. Maybe the stress of last year being such a disaster for them and they're winning more this year is helping his health. You know, in some ways I do care about Nick Nurse in that way. I do. Kessler is saying realistically, Kyle wouldn't have gotten the fanfare he did from both the Toronto crowd and his current teammates because egos would have gotten in the way if Sixers lost this one. No, I think that if we had blown them out, Kespra, I think if we had blown them out and we were the ones up by 20 in the fourth quarter and cruising to the victory, Nick would have put him in still. He would have put him in still. I think he was going to put him in no matter what because he gets it. He gets it. He's a part of it. He feels it himself because he was a part of that success and the connection with the city. So he gets it. I think that he would have put him in either way. And the thing is, even if the game had been really close and a nail biter, maybe not. Maybe not. But if it was like pretty much over and there was like 2 seconds on the clock, he would have put him in then. He would have put him in there. He would have figured it out at least to get the recognition and the applause from the team from the crowd. It may have been like maybe a half second and the game's over and it's all decided, but he would have put him in, regardless of which team was winning, regardless of which one. He's saying this, sure, in any other game, we want to blow the Sixers' teeth in, but seeing the brotherly love, pun intended, his team gave him, seeing Maxey hyping the crowd up for him was worth the ceasefire. I mean, look, we are arch enemies. The Sixers and the Raptors are there. That is really the rivalry with playoffs and just the time, like with Vince and Allen Iverson, you know, with the shot and Kawhi, with the history with us. It's just naturally our arch enemy and our division rival. But there's a lot of ties that bind to, and them having the GROAT and our championship coach as their coach it is going to be kind of like there's an underlying respect and stuff like that there too. You know, Maxey's always said good things about Toronto. He feels like our city is one of the best places to play. He feels like our arena is so fun because he loves the energy and he loves the loudness. And, you know, I'm sure NBA players love an active, crazy crowd like Toronto's over a quiet ass, weird crowd like Washington. So, you know, it's weird because, like, look, you just called it a ceasefire. I would say that on the down low, the NBA has always had like a brotherhood kind of mentality, and everybody, in some ways, even though they compete and they're kind of trying to beat each other, and there's trash talk, and maybe there is bad blood between some people. On the down low, it's an NBA family still, even if we're up against our arch rival, the Sixers. So that's part of the energy there, especially when you see like Garrett Temple and Kyle Lowry and how close they are, and things like that. Things like that for sure. Yeah, let's see. All right, let me see what else you guys are saying. Did that jump ahead? Okay. Yeah, it did. Hang on. I want to see where I'm at. I missed a couple of comments. It jumped all the way to the end. I don't know why. Yeah, Chris comes here. Okay, here we go. Seymour saying this. If I can't hope for perfection from this team, how can you ask a person to be perfect and be a diehard fan? Okay, he's being contrarian with me, and that's fine. These are good challenges to this. Well, I'm not asking the fans to be perfect. I'm just saying that, there's certain behaviors that I think are right behaviors for fans. And there's a lot of fans that are not doing right behaviors if they consider themselves true fans. And I get it. You're going to say, I'm demanding perfection from the team. Well, they're the ones, that are in front and they're getting the most pressure. In some ways, we hear so much crap about them, nitpicking, that it's like some of it's just not worth it. So many people are analyzing them that aren't qualified. And some people would say, I'm not. And that's maybe true, So it's like there's so many people that are saying this and this about them and having opinions about them that absolutely are talking out their ass. And, that's why I say that. Like, you get on a slippery slope of demanding the perfection from the team. Nobody's perfect. And I'll agree with you on the fan thing, but I'm not trying to ask the fans to be perfect. You know, I'm just saying if you're going to pay the tickets, stick around. That's all I'm saying. I think that's simple. I mean, I don't think this is that contentious, Seymour, but I must have struck a chord with you or something for you to be like, well, why are you asking them to be perfect when the team's not perfect? Well, why are we asking anybody to be perfect? We're not. People are human and they are going to make mistakes and they're not perfect. I'm just saying that I'm trying to encourage a fan behavior that is positive and for the team and better than toxic behavior. To me, it's toxic to leave the game. I'm sorry. That's just how I am. And if people love to leave the game just because they're like, "Oh, I'll just come in and I'll do this and I'll leave and I'll do this," that's their life. They can do that. I can judge them, but it doesn't mean that my opinion matters to them. So we got to sort this all out and get this right here. Cool Cat saying, "Good morning, Raptor Free Crew," and our GROAT Kyle Lowry. That's right. Good to see the coach, Cool Cat, returning to the chat once again. I'm just about 2 hours here. That's right. Josh is saying, favorite Kyle memory. I think that I love, like, a lot of people say that the best memory of Kyle is him at the front of the bus with the championship, wearing the glasses and the Damon Stoudemire jersey. That kind of is the iconic picture of him, of like the apex of him getting to the top, of him getting there, the style, just the joy, and him holding the Larry and standing on and being at the front of one of those buses on that glorious day when we had the Raptors championship parade. I mean, in some ways, that's the moment for me. That's the moment for me. But there's all kinds of crazy moments with him, like whether they're crazy shots, charges, really, all kinds of goofy stuff that happened with Kyle over his career with the Raptors. It was so much fun. In some ways, you could say the friendship between Kyle and DeMar is one of the most special things about Kyle being on the Raptors. That brotherhood, that connection, that connection. And well, let's go look at the Instagram stories because it's there. It's there. We got Lowry posting Maxi saying, "I told him I'm about to start crying." He's telling the Sixers crowd, and Sixers fans are probably like, "Toughen up, Maxi. It's the Raptors stuff. Why are you getting all emotional about it? Stop that." That's because I love Kyle. He's my mentor, and I love to see people appreciating him. Okay, we'll ceasefire. Raptors and Sixers Nation, can we be cool at least just for this and the share the passion for your Philadelphia son, Kyle Lowry? We've brokered trusts and find things with the Knicks Nation because of the RJ OG IQ trade at times too. We've been okay with New York Nation at times too. So the ties that bind, the commonalities, they get you that. They get you that. Scotty Barnes did win Eastern Conference Player of the Week yesterday, guys. This is something that the team's celebrating. Colin Murray-Boyles put it on blast. DeMar DeRozan has posted a picture of Kyle returning to Toronto and getting the adulation. I love this. DeMar, I think you've got more years in you. In fact, I want you to keep playing, but you're going to get this too. You're going to get this too, DeMar DeRozan. So be ready for it when it comes for you at the end of this. And in some ways, the tribute to DeMar and saying goodbye to him on the court like we did Kyle last night is going to be a little bit more emotional in some ways, at least for me. At least for me. But yeah, DeRozan, you're going to get this too. You know that. You're going to get this too. Matt Devlin posting Kyle Lowry coming into the game and getting his adulation from the Scotiabank Arena crowd. AJ Lawson with some highlights from his game last night on his, and also showing a three-pointer he made in the corner. Eric Smith putting on blast Player of the Week, Scotty Barnes, from what he did there. Let's see. Danielle Michaud had an interview with Brandon Ingram, and she asked him straight up, which is kind of crazy. Raptors fans are scared that big name players will just leave, like Kawhi and Vince and stuff. And like, how do you feel about that? And he said, "Look, I love this city. I love this crowd. I love playing in Scotiabank Arena. I love how the energy is. I love it here. I'm not trying to leave here." It's what Brandon said, and that's exactly what his dad told me personally when I went to the arena and talked to him, because I asked him kind of the similar question what Danielle asked Brandon personally, and he said, "Oh, he's not trying to get traded or leave here. He loves it here in Toronto." And yeah, you can tell because Brandon, like before the game, we were wondering whether he was going to play last night. I was watching his shoot around, and he looked like he was smiling. He didn't have a thing on his thumb, and I was like, man, he's smiling. He's playing tonight. I knew that. Like if he was not playing, he'd kind of be down, but he knew he was going to play. He was really happy about it. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Let's see. There's Eric and Akil Augustine. There's Kyle getting his kudos. People filming it, and everybody's just such an amazing moment. Seriously, the halftime show was pretty cool. And Juliet was there singing songs, and the Raptor was taking a picture with them. Toronto Tempo president Teresa Resch has great teammates and jersey design process. Well, we're gonna have to see. Man, we need players for y'all. Seriously, ASAP. Get your work negotiations figured out, WNBA, because the clock is ticking, and we got to build a team for Sandy Brondello. And y'all are taking your time. You know, I think the Valkyries had their whole roster by this time a year ago when they were coming in. Yeah, they had it all set up and figured out. You guys are putting Portland and the Tempo on the clock, and we're gonna have to scramble and do everything really fast. It's gonna feel like when we drafted Malachi Flynn after the pandemic, and we had to start a season and do a whole off season in like a 2-week period. I think that's what's coming for Teresa Resch and this team to start their team. They have to hit the ground running and get a lot of stuff done, probably in a couple of weeks that they would have done over months because of this work stoppage for the WNBA. It sucks, man. Like honestly, in some ways they may be gaming it against us already by holding this off so that we can't get our players together and know who they are and start working them out and start making designs on what we want to do as a team with our coach and our GM and stuff like that. It's shady. In some ways, this work stoppage is horrible timing for the Toronto Tempo. And it's a crazy situation where the Tempo have had all kinds of weird raw ends of the deal in different places, whether it's Ed Rogers delaying them. That actually set the tone for this whole thing. If they had just gone with the initial bid, they would be on the schedule with the Valkyries, and they would have already played their first year in the league. But alas, we were put a year back, and Kilmer Group and Tenenbaum came in and fixed it. But this is the part of the chaos is things like this right now. Man, we just need to get players. That's the next thing. Mercedes has a picture of Sandra with their dog. It's really cute, really cute. And she's with the significant others of the Raptors there, including Avery Abaji and Alyssa right there. That's interesting. That's a cool picture. Let's see. Jamal McGlure is celebrating Kyle Lowry stuff from last night. Elijah Martin has his entry pick. Let's see. Who else do we have? The 905 made a history of once again broke history this year. They breaking history left and right. The game on Sunday was historic because it was the largest first quarter lead in G League history, 44-11, a 33-point lead after one. 44-11 was the score at the end of the first quarter against the team we're playing tonight on Sunday, and that is a G League record. That is the most outscored first quarter in the history of the G League. In the history, that's it. That's what they're doing. Oshai Abaji has Scotty on blast for Player of the Week. Jacoby has him on blast for Player of the Week. Scotty has himself on blast for Player of the Week. Sandro has Scotty on blast for Player of the Week. Jonathan Mobo has this words of wisdom. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech and conduct and love and faith and in purity. I love this statement. You know, ageism can go both ways. I know I've been guilty of it. In some ways, I shouldn't lump all young people as being the same because there's a lot of very mature, smart, worldly young people that have a good head on their shoulders, just like what Jonathan's describing here. And there's a lot of knucklehead old people too, but there's vice versa too. We know that. Ageism is wrong either way, whether you think that people are too old to do something or you think they're too young to do something. It's wrong either way. Be the light no matter what anyone says, is what Jonathan's saying right there. That's right. That's right. Let's see what else do we got on the Instagram stories real quick. That's about it. There's an interview with Lindsey Dunn and Norman Powell, and she's embarrassing him. She's embarrassing him. He had a GoDaddy commercial where he sang at a piano, and she's like, "I'm threatening you, Norman, to show this to Bam Adebayo." And he's like, "No, destroy this evidence. Do not show anyone the GoDaddy commercial with me at the piano singing. No, don't do it." And Lindsay's like, "Okay, I won't." And then she does it. Then she does it. Then she goes and shows it to Bam Adebayo and busts up Norman Powell like that. That's wrong, Lindsay. Why'd you do that to Norm? Seriously, why'd you do that to him? They were going over his old commercial partnerships. Like they talked about him and Corey Joseph going around the city of Toronto for an ad campaign. And then they talked about the Ford car test that him and OG did that one day out at Exhibition Place. That shit was funny, man. I remember that. And then he was talking about the Osmos commercials with Fred. Of course, Norman and Fred's Osmos commercials. Very interesting stuff. He said the car commercial with OG was the most fun one to shoot, and that's obvious because they got to drive cars and go against each other in a competition, which was crazy, man. Yeah, crazy, crazy. Kenny saying Philly was making shots from everywhere. Yeah, yeah, they were on, and that's the thing. Like you get good vibes, you get good feelings going, it grows. You get bad shots, you get important people breaking, and it grows. It goes both ways. You can build momentum and confidence, and more guys will make shots if your guys are making shots. It breeds onto itself. And well, it can go the other way too. You can kill your confidence when people are that are supposed to make the shots miss them. That's a big problem right there. That's right. Bryce is saying we couldn't beat them. We just can't hit the ocean with a rock. We could have beat them. It's just that we need to make our shots. And this is not normal, man. This is not normal. I don't understand what the hell's going on with them as a team. Like, why are y'all so bad at three? Seriously, do we need to do shooting drills? Does Darko need to reassess like who should be getting 3-point shots instead of just letting everybody take them? Like, I don't know. What do you do? I feel like that's part of the problem. The new NBA is quantity of threes, and everybody's shooting abundance of them. But maybe when you shoot so many and you have so many different people shooting them, you can dilute it and mess up whether you're good at shooting them because you have too many people shooting them carelessly. And it just, like I said, breeds onto more bad shots, going into more and more bad shots. You know, I think that the Raptors in recent games have had the most success when they have concentrated on the paint, when they have gone in and outscored the team in the paint, when they've seen Scotty go to work and do what he does in the paint. And just because the rest of the league, once again, and like Seymour just said, do we all have to be the same? Why do we have to be the 3-point shooting team like everybody else when that's not the winning formula for us? You know, I know we need a balance of it, but maybe the percentage of the shots that are 3-point shots needs to lessen, and it needs to be designated for the most trusted 3-point shooters on our team. Because there may be guys that are shooting threes and they're adding to the misses because they're shooting them recklessly, and maybe they shouldn't even be shooting the threes in the first place. That other guys are going to take it more seriously and take it with more care, and they'll make the shots. Then that will breed more making shots. I mean, this all makes sense to me. But in the modern NBA, there's a demand. You have to keep up with the other teams. You got to shoot a lot of threes. I don't know. The balance for the Raptors may be a less threes and more paint, but maybe the threes will wake up because of that balance shifts to the paint a little bit more. Does that make sense? I mean, that does to me. That makes sense to me. Chris comes saying, "Good morning, Raptor freaks." And yes, AJ, another part of that young foundation. I forgot the shout out that Siakam and Fred championship team cause of this isn't the best young team that team was. Okay, I'm not totally sure what you mean there. I forgot to shout out that Siakam and Fred championship team. Oh, you mean 2017, the G League team? I think that's what you mean. Let's see. Bryce is saying, I went to He Shall Not Be Named chat after the game, and it was a terrible decision. They are all so lost. Well, in some ways, that's kind of the theme of what we're talking about today is thinking positively over thinking negatively. And, they are probably living in a dark world of perception that's just sad and pathetic and just sadness. In some ways, this may be sunshine and they may be darkness right there. The difference between my channel and He Who Shall Not Be Named's channel is that exactly that. I don't know what vibes y'all want to live with. I don't know what vibes y'all want to live with. I'd rather live a positive, happy life, manifesting gratitude and happiness than a miserable science lab life where he's going over everything and this and this. I mean, seriously, you could take a lot of different things from last night. I'm choosing, like a lot of you guys, to focus on the joy around Kyle Lowry and not necessarily the meat of the game and what exactly happened in the game. That's what I say right there. That's what I say right there. All right, let's see. Chris comes saying, I hate losing, but that was the best loss of the year because of Kyle. Laugh out loud at the end of the game. Definitely helped to deal with that L from Philly. Yeah, I mean, it's whatever, man. It's whatever. They owed us. They were mad. And Nick Nurse is a good tactician and coach, and he made adjustments. And he was smart to hold out Embiid for this until the second game. But hey, like I said, man, we did so good on Sunday night. I'm still riding the high from the 1 point win on Sunday night. And in some ways, that game on last night, well, that was the Kyle Lowry celebration. That's what that looks like to me. We're going to play Indiana tomorrow, and we should kick their ass in Indiana tomorrow night. Or we got somebody in here as a new subscriber. Thanks for subscribing. UGXYZ. Trade IQ, man. I can't anymore. What can you not can't? What do you mean I can't anymore? What is he doing that's so wrong, UG? What is he doing so wrong? He's playing basketball. And honestly, he was one of my stars of the game. I thought he was one of the 3 better players last night. So I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Are you just blindly saying this because a lot of people around Raptors are saying, "Oh, get rid of IQ. I hate IQ." You gonna jump on that bandwagon just because it seems like that's the flavor of the season? Oh, let's dump on IQ all season. That doesn't benefit us, man, because he's a good player and he's a part of our team. And until Bobby trades him, I'm not asking him to trade him. You can ask to trade him, but you know what? I stand by my team. I don't like throw my guys under the bus like you're doing right here. That's not the good first comment to come into the Raptor Street stream. I'm not going to give you a strike, but just so you know, we don't do slander. We don't do negativity towards our own players. We stand by our team. We ride or die with them. And a lot of other Raptor spaces would love your comment and they pile on an IQ with you, but that's not what happens here. And I would say this, we do have a system of striking out. If people are egregiously trolling or negative or slandering or just, saying stuff like you just said too much, they get strikes and they get kicked out of this channel. I don't keep people here just because they're Raptors fans and they want to watch me. In some ways, if you want to interact with me and be on the stream, in some ways you gotta offer something of quality. And this is not quality right here, my guy. This is not quality. Stargate saying this at UG, you can't anymore. Who the fuck are you? Talk about privilege. Fuck out of here. See, I'll let that be the strike. Is Stargate's just going to answer you? That's fine. Every single loss is trade this person, trade that person. Fuck out of here. Go play fantasy basketball in 2K and leave the real game alone. It's too mature for you. Keep to your children's versions. I see. I don't even need to go in on this one. Stargate's done the job. All right. Raptors Champs is saying the guard at point creates easier shots for other players. Last night, everyone looked stagnant. I mean, I get what you're saying, but Jamal was the point guard last night. He started at point guard. You guys are going to try and blame IQ for what happened last night? No, you guys can't do that. It's an overall team effort. And look, finger pointing like that is not worth it. Seriously, once again, I'll say this. IQ was one of the few guys trying to help us and carry in the game and actually scoring. The problem, part of it was nobody could actually make any points. Well, AJ could, Brandon could, and Emmanuel could. And the rest of them, they couldn't make jack shit. I mean, y'all are going to come at Emmanuel. He made 2 of the 6 threes we made last night. You're going to come at him? He's not one of the guys who was over. Seriously, y'all are saying we need to trade Emmanuel. He's one of the only guys who made threes last night. The other guys are the ones who didn't make the threes. And y'all want to trade Emmanuel? Like, what is this? Y'all are crazy. You're crazy. Stargate saying, unfortunately, I believe it's a bit too late for Grady with our team. As you said, the writing is on the wall. Yeah, it sucks, man. It sucks. I don't know. It's like a plane. He can pull this out still. There's the whole rest of the season still. There's a lot of time still. If we're really looking at it, we're at halftime of the season, right? We're at halftime pretty much. He's got a whole second half to try and do it still. So there is runway for him to still do it. We'll just have to see. It's just he's got to get his confidence back, and he's got to start building things right on the court again so he looks better. In some ways, he's definitely not what we projected him to be last year. Last year when he was starting and all the thing we were thinking about, this is what he's going to be and this is what he's going to be. Throw that all out the window. At this point, Grady Dick is just fighting to stay in the NBA ecosystem. Forget about him being a starter. Forget about him being an all-star. He's fighting to just stay in the league as a role player and just a guy who's going to be on the bench. He's not going to be a starter in this league unless he has some dramatic change. And you know what I think part of the problem with Grady is? He's just like me as far as he has a high metabolism and he can't keep weight on. He's always going to be undersized and skinny out there and be pushed around. Like I couldn't gain any weight until my 40s. He's in his 20s, and there may be no guarantee that Grady can actually build any substantial weight on his body correctly to sustain the NBA grind with all the energy you put out. Because in some ways, it's like he's like me. We have a very skinny waist, and we're skinny guys, and I could eat like a horse, and I won't gain any weight. And I worry that that's part of the issues with Grady is like, look, we see him getting more muscles around his shoulders and his arm and stuff like that, but his waist is not going to grow. And he shouldn't grow because that means he's fat. And in some ways, he has a basic skinny waist as a guy that he is that's not going to allow him to throw a certain weight around in the league. It's part of what Chris Boucher is held back for, too, if you think about it. So Stargate saying, good point, Kespra. Not worth the potential injuries. Yeah, that was a good point. Kespra's been on point, man. Seriously, we've had some really good new people come to the stream in the last year that have really added to the stream in really good ways. And I appreciate Kespra. I do. G saying petition to get rid of Noah. Maybe. I don't know. Raptors Reddit, can you get on that? Can you get a petition to get rid of the Noah system? It's probably so expensive and it's just there. Maybe they could just turn it off. Leave it there. If somebody wants to mess around with it sometime, like maybe they get their old Nintendo out. Oh, let's go play with this. This is old. Remember this? And it's like 50 years from now. Oh, it's the Noah system. Let's try it just for fun. Yeah, hopefully nobody uses it. I don't know. It's a weird thing, man. It's a weird thing. Stargate saying this. What is Yak's status? The team has been very quiet about him lately. We thought he would be back in one of these two games. Man, it's a mystery. Like I said, it's a day-by-day basis. It's about how he gets up in the morning and what he feels. I don't know. We just got to be patient. In some ways, I was hoping RJ would have came back in one of these games, but I guess the ankle he got twisted on Friday night against Boston is worse. But the thing is, they're also saying that RJ is not going to be gone for long. It's more like days than weeks. So maybe RJ's playing against Indiana. I don't know. With Yak, it's such a big question mark right now. It's not. It's this injury with Yak is so hard to try and gauge and figure out the timeline with from the normal kind of things with injuries. Like I can be pretty accurate with looking at stuff and saying this is kind of what I see is happening, and I think he'll be back for this. I was way late on RJ. It was like I thought RJ would come back way sooner than he did, than 5 weeks. But with Yak, there's no telling because in some ways his injury can fluctuate from severity to good or bad on a day-to-day basis. And it really is like a daily report with where it is. And it could actually go worse without us even knowing it. And then it comes back. I don't know. They're just trying to manage it. So I can't tell you. I cannot give you an educated opinion on Jakob right now. I wish I could. I was really hoping because the news last week was showing that he was getting close to coming back because he was back in practice with contact. But I guess there was a setback because I really thought he was going to play in one of these games against Philly. It just didn't happen. Kareem saying, how much would it be to extend Grady? Can't be more than some Canadian goods. I don't know. And in some ways, that's something that shouldn't be worried about until the fall. That's something that shouldn't be worried about until the fall because that's when it would happen. That's when it would happen. It'd have to happen by sometime in October. If they felt comfortable with him, maybe they threw an extension on him in the summer. But they're not going to feel comfortable with him unless he has a very drastic change in the second half of the season. That's what I'm saying. Stargate saying Elijah can become our team's Dylan Brooks. Yeah, I don't know if that's the right look. See, this is the thing, man. I like Elijah's winning mentality. I like the fact that he's a competitor, but in some ways he may have to curve this want to talk trash. You know, it can work in a lot of different other places, but this is the NBA. And like I said, I don't want him going around poking bears that he cannot tie up and take care of himself. Like, we need a guy on our team that's going to antagonize the best players on the other team, and then all of a sudden they're dropping 30 bombs on us? No, this is not a winning strategy. So, Elijah, know your role, know your place in the league, and don't do this. Seriously, you're more likely to hurt our team than help our team with your trash talk right now. I mean, a little bit of it in a defensive matchup where you're trying to battle a guy and say, "Oh, I got you. I got this. I got that." But really, when you're getting the point of getting a double technical with Joel, you've gone too far. You've gone too far. Because listen, once again, man, I know this may be your mentality and the way you've always played, but this is the NBA, and you need to be strategic more about your place in the NBA and how you're building your career. Because if you are a detriment to our team because you're causing technicals or you're pissing off the best player on the other side to go off for a crazy amount, that's not going to balance with what you're contributing on the other end. So before you write these checks, get to a higher level in the league is what I'm saying. Because people are going to laugh at you at a certain point and they're going to say, "Who the fuck are you? You're a two-way. Like, who the fuck are you saying this to me? I'm Tyrese Maxey. I'm an all-star." Like, seriously, that's a little bit of that energy how it come off. Like, look, I get it if you're in a one-on-one matchup with somebody and you're trying to guard them and you're being competitive with them and there's a little bit of talk in there. But as far as like grandiose smack talk, you have no place to talk it right now, AM. And in some ways, as much as I like that side of you, you could do it in 905 right now. Sure. The record is undefeated. And you guys are walking like that. But in the Raptors, man, you're not causing good things for us if you're doing it for us at that level. You really aren't, man. I don't want him to do this, man. I don't want him to do this. He does not need to become our Dylan Brooks. Let's just put it that way. KT saying, I brought this up in the Discord about Yak. His progress report has been non existent. Like, why are we so quiet about this now? Why would we broadcast this? You guys act like the Raptors are an organization that has to have complete transparency. No, they are in a strategic league where everybody's trying to gain an advantage, and information is proprietary and secretive because if you let everybody know all your business, they're easier to gain for. Why do you guys feel like y'all are so privileged that you just get this information? Seriously. I'm glad that they tell the reporters updates on what's going on with them. I'm glad they have to report to the league when guys are available and when they're going to be expected to play because the other team has to gain for them. But seriously, like, what are we supposed to find out? Or why are we supposed to broadcast this for everybody to know? I mean, seriously, I don't know what's going on with Yak exactly. And in some ways, I'm okay with that. I have to just allow and be patient. Some of this is the lesson here is we need patience more in this world. Half of the problems in Raptors Nation are people are impatient. They are impatient to get a championship too fast. They're impatient to get trades. They're impatient to find out injury news. Why can't we just go for the ride and just sit in the moment and just be in it and just go through the ride? Like, seriously, why do we always have to be this, this, this? Why can't we just be like, okay, we played the game last night. We're off today. The 905 are playing tonight. We're going to play Indiana tomorrow. You know, as what shall be, shall be. It's not going to help Jakob come back faster if we all know exactly what's going on with him, right? It's not. So it's like, why are they being so quiet about this? Because it's nobody's business. And if we talked about it too much, well, the other 29 teams in the league know it too, right? That's part of it right there. That's right. Stargate, at this rate, Elijah Martin might have to be our backup center. Yeah, that wasn't a good look. The switches happened a couple times last night where Elijah was on Joel, and that was not a good look. Trust me, that was not a good look. Seymour saying Grady spends too much time on TikTok with his girlfriend. He puts his energy in his love life more than his game. Another Bowl. Laugh out loud. Lex called it. Yes, it's his personal life. I don't know if it's his personal life. I don't know what it is exactly. I don't think he's doing TikTok like that. If he was doing TikTok like that, we would see him all over the place. I don't see his TikToks. I don't know if he's doing the TikTok stuff he did when he was at Kansas anymore. I don't know. Maybe Carla's put him through the ringer emotionally in some weird way. I don't know. We can always speculate what the fuck's going on with Grady and what's wrong. You know, I think that it's just a basic thing where he gained muscle. He had to adjust his shot and it's not going smoothly. And now his confidence is in jeopardy. I think that's what it is. I mean, he's had such a stable family life and all kinds of things. But, you know, the other thing that occurred to me is it could possibly this. You know, this is the thing. These teams are crazy competitive within. And they all know coming in that they want the same stuff, the players that are on the Raptors. Now, I'm not saying that anybody's trying to hurt Grady or something like that, but that environment can be tough You could think about it this way. Grady was on Kansas Jayhawks, and it's a family. It's a very much kind of different thing. And he was a top dog on that team. And he didn't have a whole lot of competition for what he was trying to do on that team. And it was really a bit more like all for one for all. I'm not saying the Raptors aren't like that. They are like that as a team, and that is the motto. But on the down low, also, they're all fighting for the same thing. And are they trying to help each other on the down low in some ways? No. No. Because in some ways, Elijah, Jacoby, Oshai, AJ, Grady, Jameson, they all want kind of the same slices of pie that are in one pie, and they can't all get the same slice. And in some ways, that environment with Grady being younger and in some ways having some deficits and weaknesses that are exploitive, I get some vibes from the team that some of them are perfectly okay with Grady failing out because that means their path is a little bit more open to get what they want. Now, I mean, you don't want to talk about that totally openly and outward like I just did, but if you're really thinking about this critically, it's super ultra competitive on NBA teams to get what you want in the league, whether it's minutes, shots, time. And, Grady's coming from a Kansas family environment where everybody's kind of supportive and all for each other. He may not deal very well with the underlying competition on the Raptors inside it, internally. Does that make sense? Because you think about it, guys, they're doing practices all the time and they're playing against each other. And there may be times where Grady's getting schooled by other Raptors. And these guys they're athletes and they're very like high level. There's in locker rooms, there's always going to be some banter and talk and in locker room stuff that we don't hear as far as like talking trash or like in internal competition. And who knows? There may be a whole kind of like internal competition on the down low behind the scenes where Grady is failing there too. And that is not helping his confidence. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to look into this. We got to remember all these guys are trying to get the same slices of the pie to a degree. And in some ways, other guys failing next to you, or in some ways, it's actually kind of helping you yourself, right? Right? Does that make sense? That's what it's saying. Yeah. Kesper is saying Joel asked Danny Green to stay with the Sixers when he was there, then accidentally injured him and ended his career. Yeah, you can dunk for that. I'm glad you brought that up. That's exactly true. And that was messed up. That was super messed up. And honestly, Danny ended his career because of Joel. Joel put him out. That's absolutely true. You got the RJ Barrett 9. I was saying that for a while, the referees on an NBA court, when Joel's playing, if he's going to flop, they need to start calling out timber. Timber! Because that motherfucker's falling over and he could mess you up because he's like that. He's dangerous and reckless. Yeah, I was saying referees need to start calling timber just like they're in the woods, chopping down tall timber. And somebody needs to watch out because the tree's falling over and you might get hurt. Timber! All right, let's keep going. Kesper is saying he's probably used to having teammates from our chip team at this point. Yeah, maybe his own way. Yeah. Wayne saying this, morning Raptor Freaks. Tearful gratitude for Kyle. Our team just has a fighting spirit that's special. If you beat us at our best, you are a good team. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think we played super great a lot of time this year. There's been some times where we played phenomenal, but a lot of times, like, we haven't played that great. Like, even winning the game on Sunday night, we didn't play that good, like, shooting wise. We just won by the skin of our teeth and just barely, like, let's do this team stats right now since Wayne's brought this up. Because, like, honestly, they tell you a lot of what happened last night. The Sixers shot phenomenal last night, 53% by the end of the game. But at halftime, they were shooting like 78% or something like that. It was crazy. They shot 44% from three for the game. They made 16 threes. We only made 6. And as Bryce rightfully called out last night in the Discord, if every single guy who missed all their three-pointers made just 1 3, we would have won the game last night. We would have. That it would have added up to that. Like, because they got 30 more points from the 3-point line because they made 10 more threes than us. They shot 44% from 3. We shot 16% from 3. That's ridiculous, man. So ridiculous. We shot pretty good at the free throw line, 88%, only missed 3 free throws. They only missed 2. We did out-rebound them by 2, 38-36, and including having 15 offensive rebounds. to 5 for them. All right, assist to turnover ratio. That's what won us the game on Sunday. Their assist to turnover ratio last night was 22 to 16. So it's pretty much 1-to-1, which is a little bit better than a lot better than they did on Sunday, the Sixers. And ours was 29 to 9. So we had a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. So that's fantastic. We're still taking care of the ball. We can't shoot, but we take care of the ball and we're rebounding. And we did pretty good in the let's see, points in the paint. Yeah, we beat them there. That's crazy considering they have Joel Embiid. We beat them points in the paint, 54 to 38. That's pretty crazy, honestly, guys. And we got 15 fast break points. Nick Nurse keyed on trying to stop us from breaking because whenever we get loose and we get down the court in transition, that's when we start getting good things going. And we did get that for a second, and Nick called the timeout to try and kill it immediately. And he said that after the game. He said a big part of our game plan was to stop the Raptors from running and getting out there. That was really, really important to the Sixers last night. So, yeah, that's the team stats right there. We out rebounded them. We got more points in the paint, but we damn for sure didn't shoot better than them. No, we didn't. That's for sure. That's right. That's right. Let's see. Trevor's saying Kyle Lowry called Scotty Barnes a championship caliber player. Yes, he did. That's the other thing. In the post-game interview with Kyle, he very much said, and this is why Philly fans hate him, is because he said he believes the Raptors will win another championship and he's rooting for them. He actually roots for us still. He said this as an active Sixers player. He says, I'm rooting for Toronto. He very made that clear in his post-game interview, is that I love this city, I love this team, and I look forward to watching this team be successful in the future with Scotty Barnes. Kyle said that straight up in the interview after the game last night. He said, I love Michael Grange is an idiot. First of all, he asked Kyle this question. He's like, oh, Kyle, you played with Scotty for 2 years. How do you feel about how he's come along as a player at this point? I was like, motherfucker, he did not play with Scotty for 2 years. Why would you say that? Kyle went over it. He could have went in on Michael Grange at that moment and say, why did you say that? I didn't play with him. But Michael's confused, I guess. But yeah, no, Kyle Lowry left the summer that we drafted Scotty, and they never played with each other on the same team. And it's funny, but yeah, Kyle loves Scotty. He said glowing things about him. He said he's just amazing, and he has no reason to like Scotty. He never was his teammate, and he's just doing it because he has an affinity for a franchise. And in some ways, that's cool because that shows that it's beyond Kyle Lowry's championship with us and his memories of his time on Toronto. He's a fan for the Raptors for life, and he wants us to win more in the future. He made that very clear after the game. So you're a real one, Kalo. You're a real one. And this is why Sixers fans are mad at him, guys. That's partly right there. Monique's saying, keep up the great stream, Lex. Thank you, Mo. And keep up the great work. And, Monique is elevating her game this season. She's rubbing more and more shoulders with the big wigs. Running into Bobby Webster, Keith Pelly, and now Vaughn Alexander. Woo-wee! Monique is an insider in the Raptors world. That is for sure. I'm so proud of you, Mo. You keep going and keep making those connections, and you make us here, the Raptor Freak family, look good. But you are a dynamo. You are amazing. You are amazing, Monique. Keep going. Keep going. As you tell me to keep going, I tell you to. I'm a huge fan of yours as you are a fan of mine. That's right. Positive thoughts, Raptor Freak crew. I always stay until the end. Raptors forever. Of course you do. Of course you do. And that's the way you do it. That's right. That's the way you do it. And that's why you see these people that you see, like Bobby Webster, leaving the game with him. That's right. That's right. Kaloy saying, so Elijah did get into Maxi's head. He went Super Saiyan last night. Laugh out loud. Yeah. Yeah. That's part of the thing I'm worried about, man. It's like, don't do this. Don't poke the bear. That's one thing we learned in Raptors lore because of Kyle Lowry. Don't poke the bear. And don't wake these guys up to get them motivated to come at us even harder, Elijah Martin. Seriously. I love the smack talk, and I love the competitiveness. I love the dog. I love the winner. But I don't necessarily like the extraneous trash talk that's getting you a double technical with Joel Embiid. I don't necessarily like that. You don't have the the standing in the league to do this shit. That's right. Kaloy saying, what the fuck is happening to Grady? I have no idea, man. You've seen those shots. They were open as a open sunset. Seriously, they were, crazy. Kaloy saying, I love this young man. I got his Dick jersey, but I'm really worried for his career. All of us are. I'm sure Carmen is. I'm sure Carla is. I'm sure his siblings are. I'm sure Grady is too. And that's what I'm saying, man. This league is not easy. That's what I'm saying. You guys can have these dreams of the NBA. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be this. I'm gonna be all star. I'm gonna be this. Motherfucker, this may not be reality. That this may not be in the cards in any kind of way. And I don't want to be a naysayer. I want you to aim high and go for it, but you will hit your head on the ceiling at some point. And it's different for every person. Not everybody's going to be LeBron James. Not everybody's going to be SGA. Not everybody's going to be Scotty Barnes. So, yeah, you're going to hit your head at some point. Kaloy saying, am I crazy or was the offense better on those 2 games that BI was out? When BI was out, it forced Scotty to drive a lot more. Hey, Lex, do you think we should change how BI ISOs? I think that it wasn't necessarily the presence of BI. I think that the things that happened last night, I mean, I won't go on about other games before this because I'm only fresh in my mind the games against Philly. I think that it's more that Philly really came at us with a very, very like top level effort and energy that they were mad that they lost a 1 point overtime game. And also, that our team was so flat, and it didn't really have to do with BI's presence. I get what you're trying to say. Like if BI's not there as a safety net for our offense, Scotty definitely has the impetus to have to go and do more on offense to help us. That's definitely true. But I think this is more indicative of the Sixers really being angry and coming at us right off the bat than anything about us. I really think that's what it is. Because I mean, they got 80 points. 80 points in the first half. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Slug Deezy saying, I wonder how many strikes I have. You may have gotten some strikes early on, but I don't think any of you guys they wipe every day, right? I don't keep them cumulatively. I don't have a spreadsheet for it. It's really kind of if somebody's really in the stream and they have 3 comments that piss me off, I'll kick them out then. Yeah, you have to do a lot to get struck out here at this point. Some people come here looking for it and they get it. Oh yeah. But nah, you don't have any strikes, Slug DZ. Nobody has any strikes right now. It's really like in the moment. If somebody has like 3 bad comments in a row, I kick them out. And I don't carry them over from show to show. So like if somebody has strikes, like 2 strikes today, and they come back tomorrow, they're white. They have to get 3 more again. I mean, that's the system right there. At least the one I've been using in the years I've been doing this channel. It's in some ways it's for people that kind of just come in here and they're going troll and they'll come in, or maybe they're fans of another team, or they're, even like very toxic Raptors nation comes in and they're just like, no, you're crazy. You're a homer. You don't know what you're talking about. And they're like really toxic and they're saying stuff like trade IQ, trade Jakob, trade RJ. They all suck. And they're just going off on that. Yeah, I'll kick those people out because I'll feel like they're a waste of time for me to read their comments. And that if that's their stance and they're not coming in with anything constructive criticism wise, at least, or anything like that, they're a waste of time. So I just let them go. They out. Mr. Quasimodo saying, what did you think of the switch to isolation plays that lessened the huge 30-point gap? Laugh out loud. I thought it was really interesting how Darko put that 3-point shooting team out there in the third quarter. It was a battle dick formation with IQ and I think Scotty and AJ Lawson. So it was a very weird team because it was very not good defensively, but if they had been hitting their shots, they could have made up that lead so fast. Battle hit a 3 in that group. AJ was hitting threes, but the other guys weren't really at all. And that sucked because that lineup, I feel like that lineup that had all those 3-point shooters was possibly one that could have gotten us back in the game if they had been hitting their shots. Kaloy saying BI and coaching teams should adjust for those late doubles. This is something that he has to do better with. And Nick was talking about it with Joel last night. Similar thing where the double comes to Joel and he has to recognize it sooner to get the ball away. And he's had a learning curve with that over his career. He hasn't been totally the best at passing out the double. And often Embiid will just try and beat the double because he's like that, Brandon's doing a pretty good job. Part of the problem is the way they attack him with the double is they're obscuring his passing lanes. And it's hard for him to kind of try and figure out where it is. We've seen Brandon do such interesting dribbles. Like I feel like he's almost traveling, but he uses his pivot foot to walk a little bit closer to the basket, but he has such long legs. He gets right to the rim like that. We saw him miss a couple of shots last night that obviously he would normally make. That they just didn't fall for some reason too. So yeah, I don't know. I think that last night is just not a good game to gauge anything about the Raptors offense. It's more like, once again, let's give credit to the Sixers for coming in correct and absolutely blowing us out of the water right away, because that's what they did. They really did do that last night. That's right. Let's see. Fiercely saying no finger pointing. At some point, IQ was the one who scored the most and was in double digits before the rest of the team. So why being so hard on him? Damn if he does. Damn if he don't. Yeah, yeah, I agree with this. I agree with this. In some ways, it's overly critiquing him. Honestly, it's like DZ saying Grady could have a Vlad Jr. type season, or underwhelming in the regular season, but clutch in the playoffs. Time is ticking, but not over for him yet. Yeah, that'll wipe a lot of this out. Like, it really is a short memory kind of thing. And that's why, his old philosophy when he came in the league was, I don't remember the last shot, but he's remembering it now. And that's what he has to get back to, is just having an unconscious, like, confidence. There's just like, who cares if you miss 10 in a row? You're going to make the 11th one. And a lot of the guys on the team have this mentality. IQ does for sure. Shed, he has it. And that's the thing. Grady's got to revisit that and remember his amnesia about failed shots, and stay in the moment and not letting it all weigh him down on his body posture and how he's feeling about the game, and just being confident and saying, you know what, I may have missed every shot so far this game, but the next one's going in. Because that was a big philosophy about him in his first couple of years in the league. It's not working this year. His memory is not short. He is catching it all, and he's feeling it. He's feeling it inside. So we got to get that figured out. Now, if he had a fantastic postseason where he helped the Raptors by making a lot of shots in the postseason, that'll wipe a lot of the bad memories of this season away. Success and when it really matters. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'll help a lot. Chloe saying Grady should go reach out to JV then. JV had that crazy weight gain, and he was so thin when he came in. I'm telling you guys, it's not even that. It may not be possible with him. Seriously. I know it wasn't for me. I could try and gain weight like crazy, and I could never get to 200 pounds until later in my life. It's just how it was. And, Grady, I don't know, his genetics, his metabolism are against him right now. Seriously. In some ways, that's a big problem. He has to be able to get more bulk on him. And I don't know if he can, healthy, or even in a way that is conducive to his body being NBA ready. That's why, in some ways, I was like, it's a non-starter when I looked at him. When I'm watching these guys, I'm not totally looking at their basketball skills. I'm looking at their physical bodies. And I'm saying, well, how does that body grow in the next 5 years after college in the NBA? How does it get stacked? How does it get built? We saw Scott come in, and I saw his shoulders. Like, this dude's going to be very strong. I could tell. I saw him, and I was like, man, this guy has such a growth potential physically as a player coming in as a rookie with his broad shoulders. When I saw Grady, I was like, this dude may not be able to build his body to an NBA level of strength that he can hold his own in this league. I thought that right immediately when I did the scout of the day on him on this channel. Then you guys, we could go find it in the archive on this channel over the last 4 years. When I scouted Grady Dick live on this show in a live reaction, I said he's physically not going to be able to play in the NBA. I said that before we drafted him. And then when they drafted him, I was like, okay, I want to be wrong. 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 I want to be wrong, Grady. Make me wrong, please. Please make me wrong. JV's not going to help him do this. JV, no. Chet Holmgren, come on now. Yeah, Fiercely saying this. Grady was skinnier last year, but noticeable enough to be included in the Rising Stars. This year, he's struggling to hit shots, and I'm not sure why. I would say his defense and hustle are commendable. Well, he started last year. He got all the time in the world. That's why he was a rising star, because he was getting time and he's doing things. Yeah, he was skinnier last year too, but he has to bulk up because of the NBA. And in some ways, that may have affected his offense in a weird negative way. I don't know. Kaloy's saying if they are going to shut down Yak, they should decide early so that there'll be enough time to get a big. Nobody's talking about shutting down Yak for the season. They're not doing that. There's been no word saying that Jakob Poeltl is expected to not play again this season. They're managing it, and they're going day to day. And I'm going to say this right now. Jakob is the one in charge of whether he's ready to play. They don't look at him and analyze him through charts or like looking at him. He doesn't have an injury that has to heal. and so to speak, like, RJ's ankle or things like that. He has a back issue, and they really go by what he self reports. So when Yacht comes to OVO Center in the morning, or he comes to the arena, they ask him, "How's your back feel today?" And he tells them honestly. Now, you guys know Yakapurto ain't trying to sideline his life. If he felt like he physically could play, he'd be out there. And so it's really Yak. Yak has to come in and say, "I feel great, Darko. Put me in. I feel fantastic. I'm awesome. My back is not stiffening up. My back, because we brought him back when he thought he was good. That's the thing. There's precaution now more than ever, because we brought him back around Christmas for a second, and he got hit in the back in a Brooklyn game, and it re-aggravated his back, and he had to go right back out. Because that's the thing. It's not just his back's got to feel good. He's got to be able to withstand the physicality of his position, and having big centers and people bumping into his back and hurting him. He could put his back out of line all of a sudden again, and he's like having to leave the game in the middle of the game. Yeah, this is in some ways not good, because in some ways it's like we need his presence and we need him to be consistently there, right? Right? Oh man, they're not going to shut him down. It's really a day-to-day basis. Ask Yak how he's feeling. How you feeling today, Yak? How's your back? How's your back? That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing every day. Kaz is saying, "Good morning, Lex and Rapid Free Crew. When it comes to the front office, I don't believe anything they say when it comes to injuries. A bunch of liars, man." You saying that you don't believe the front office on injuries? I don't know. That's all we can go on, right? That's all we can go on. I mean, at least they're not like making up fake reports and like sitting guys and getting in trouble with the league for benching guys in load management or something like that. I feel like the guys are trying to play if they can. Seriously, I feel like they are. Mr. Quasimodo is saying the fans helped close the lead. They were going off when we started to close it. We won't make a slip up like that again. Laugh out loud. I would say, like, in some ways, that the first quarter, if they were cheering like I did on Sunday night right away, maybe that quarter doesn't go so bad and the game gets to such a bad place at halftime. That's why the fans can't wait to get engaged in the game. Do it right from the start and be there for them right away, because y'all can give that good energy right away. And if you're coming in later and like coming with the energy later, well, it's too late. You got to set the tone right from the start. And in some ways, we successfully did that as a crowd on Sunday night. And on Monday, maybe the fans were just too lackadaisical. The Sixers jumped out on us and everybody was shocked and they were too quiet, and they didn't give the energy to the Raptors the correct way to do things execution wise. I mean, that's what I saw. That's what I heard. I mean, I know because I was there and I was a part of setting that right from the start on Sunday night. And in some ways, the crowd's not engaged right from the start, and the other team's jumping all over us. The crowd will never get engaged in the right way right away. They can try and come back around later, but it may be too little too late, is what I'm saying right there. Yeah. Yeah. G's saying this. Kaz, I think some injuries are easier to determine than others, as Achilles is clearly season ending. Back issues are degenerative. Knee issues are harder to put timelines on. Yeah, the back issue with Yak is so up and down. I think that he gets better for a little while and then he has a setback. I think that's what's been happening, guys. I think that's what's been happening. Fiercely saying, I saw Tyrese and Elijah hugging it out at the end of the game. Well, this is the thing. Tyrese is a big time NBA player. He's a competitor. He's very top level his position in the league, but he likes to have fun in the battle of the game. He's a competitor, and there'll be a lot of trash talk. But you know what? On the down low, he probably super respects all three of the Raptors guards he's been facing the last 2 days, because Shed's like that, Elijah's like that, and the Quickly's like that. And in some ways, he's like more like, you know what, you guys are fun to play against. That's probably what he's like. And there may be very much a respect for our rookie Elijah Martin from Tyrese already. Yeah, Kaz is saying Raptors have always been like this when it comes to injuries. They don't get a pass from me. Well, I don't know. Why are you coming at the front office? Why are you coming at the front office? In some ways, once again, do we really need to know all this, like you and Kareem are asking? Or is it better that they're secretive and they're not letting everything be publicly known? Once again, we have teams that are competing with us for Larry O'Brien's, and they want every competitive edge. And in some ways, Bobby Webster and the Toronto Raptors have to just follow the guidelines of the NBA and their protocols with reporting injuries. And they don't have to do anything more than that, right? Right? I mean, why are you getting mad at them, Kaz? Why are you mad at the front office about how they report injuries? That's a weird one, man. I was just going to say that. That's a little weird. G saying this. Every fan base complains about this, to be honest. are not so injuries are not so clear cut. Setbacks happen due to overextending or overcompensation. Tissue injuries are very difficult to timeline. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's different weird stuff. Like we've had a player, OG missed a game once when he was playing for us because he sliced his hand like carving a pumpkin or something like that. You guys, people can get hurt not from being at a basketball game. You can get hurt in your everyday life from something really dumb. You know what I'm saying? Like OG did literally miss a couple games while he was a Raptor because he cut his hand with a knife once. So, there's a lot of stuff that we just don't know that's going on behind the scenes, whether it's in their private lives or with the injuries that can contribute to why they're not available, guys. We got to remember that. We got to remember that. Yeah. Kaloy saying, my fear is that Yak will need to be shut down. Well, let's not speak this in existence. Once again, let's have a positive mindset and speak abundance into this. Jakob's back is healing so beautifully today. The energy is going into his discs and his vertebrae, and it's just feeling so good, man. There's like such good cryogenics and warm therapy, and he's just feeling fantastic. He got that DDP yoga. That's right. And he's feeling real good right now. That's what I'm speaking into existence, Kaloy. Right there. See, this is what we're doing. We're having a perception change from the negative to the positive. The whole world's going to be fine because we're going to kick Trump's ass and we're going to win this thing in the end for democracy and freedom and justice in the end. And they will get their Nazi Nuremberg trials. Let's speak that into existence instead of the opposite. This is like what we're saying right here. Jakob's going to be fine. He'll show up soon. That's what we're doing right here. That's right. Kaz is saying Grady was too busy chilling with his girl all summer making TikToks. I was such a big fan of him. And even bought his jersey, man, I'm so disappointed in him. Man, I'm disappointed too, but let's not down him. I care. All right. There's different things. There's Grady as a player and there's Grady as a human being. And I love Grady as a human being. I think that he's a great young man. I think he's a fantastic person. He's a great role model. There's so many great attributes and things about him. He's super talented. And then there's Grady as a basketball player. And in some ways, we want him to be as successful as possible. Listen, I don't know what Grady did last summer. Maybe he is on TikTok more than I know. I'm not on TikTok. That's why I wouldn't know. And maybe he's doing this and that. But in some ways, also, we know Grady was with his girlfriend, but he was also with the team in Banff. He was also with the team in Italy or Spain, I guess. It was Spain. He was at the team in Miami. He was there with the team when they were showing up and doing stuff. He was at Rico Runs. He was at Rico Runs too. So it's like, I don't know where you're getting this energy, man. I feel like some of y'all are woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and we just need to have a more positive outlook. Is kind of what's going on here. Mo's saying, fiercely, it's Elijah. You get it wrong all the time. Just helping you. She just spelled it with an E. She might have people in her family or people that she knows that have it spelled that way. That's all. I mean, at least she's not calling him Isaiah. That's what Blackhawk did the other day. That's right. Let's see. Fiercely saying sorry and thank you, Monique. There you go. Superfan's there with you. Nameless saying I'm the strike master. Raptor State. There you go. Yeah, he's baiting me. Actually, Nameless did get strikes in the past. I mean, if you guys ever got a strike from me, raise your hand. Why not? I'm sure most of y'all have, honestly. I mean, most of the regulars have gotten a strike from me at some point. I mean, it's going to happen at some point, right? It's going to happen at some point. Kareem's saying, I'm pretty sure I'm blocked from the channel. I saw what you posted there. That's hilarious. That's pretty funny that you went in there and said he looked like he hadn't bathed or something like that. That's funny, man. Yeah, you worked hard to get banned from that channel? Good. Good job. Nameless is laughing. I'm going to give you a dunk for that, Kareem. Why not? Why not? That's pretty hilarious. You got banned from He Who Shall Not Be Named's channel for trolling him, and rightfully so. In some ways, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. You got strikes. You got the Colin Murray-Boyles 12, Kareem Thomas. You got that combo 12. That's right. KT saying, funny thing is when I say something, there's people in there that say, oh, he's a Raptors freak. They do say that. So they're very aware of us. They're very aware of us. Good. That's funny. All right, that's good. All right, let's see. Kaloy saying Grady was bricking all night, and that damn commercial was running all night too. Oh yeah. I'm pretty sure I don't know what that commercial is. The Grady commercial, the Gillette commercial. He's in a Gillette commercial, right? Yak will be fine. There you go. That's the right one, Kaloy, right there. And we will teach Santino also to have a positive outlook on life so that he can be more happy and have blessings come to him and gratitude more often. Because if he's negative Nanny and he feels sad and mad all the time, he's going to block his blessings from coming to him. So we want him to have the best life possible. Little Santino, Raptor freak in training. And yeah, we want to build a positive mindset for him. This is something interesting. Like if I was a parent and I was raising kids, I would try and do this. I'd try and give them like, look, I'd be very philosophical. I'd be very philosophical. I wouldn't be like trying to control the kid or tell them how to be specifically, but I'd give them guidance. I'd be basically like saying, you know what, if you want to be happier, this is how you do it. If you want to do this is how you do it. I would do it that way. I wouldn't say they have to do it, but I'd definitely be giving them guidance and I'd be very interactive with them as far as a resource to live a better, happier life for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Stargate saying, Lex, please chill with the fast driving, bro. I have more friends die from automobile accidents than any other means, and it's not even close, whether it be car or motorcycle accidents. No, I hear you, man. I mean, look, you know I said this on the stream the other day, and in some ways I don't want to talk about this too much. And even Steve was chastising me about this on the phone the other night when we were talking about it. I don't really drive that crazy. I don't want y'all to think that I'm like a street racer, like I'm doing like what people do on 401, like the organized crazy races and stuff like that. I'm a super safe driver. Let me just put it that way. I like to call myself an aggressive defensive driver, honestly, because I understand the principles of defensive driving. It's really like being aware of all your surroundings and all the other cars around you as much as possible and reacting to them. But also to be a defensive driver, sometimes you have to be a little aggressive because if you're not aggressive, you actually get in the wreck because you were too hesitant. So I'm a very calculated driver. I'm a very skilled driver and I am a very safe driver, but I do calculate safety and risk as to what I can get away with. And I may not be completely following the laws all the time. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I mean, in some ways, I don't want to bring this up anymore. In fact, I shouldn't have divulged that in sometimes I'm a speed demon. But for the most part, you can ask anybody who rides in a car with me. They feel very safe when I'm driving. In fact, Adriana likes when I speed up because she likes roller coasters. And my parents and everybody in my family would tell you I'm the best driver in our family. Like I seriously have some mad skills, Stargate. I appreciate you're worried about me, and I have had a very serious car wreck in my life that I almost died from. We've talked about this, so I am very aware, and I do respect a lot of this stuff. I don't know. In some ways, I'm not totally comfortable talking about the subject anymore. I will say that I'm a very safe driver. If you see me driving out on the street, most of the time I'm doing everything exactly to the law. It's just sometimes I like to open it up. Let's just put it that way. And I do it in a way where it's safe for me to an extent. The other thing is, look, I don't drink and drive like I did all through my 20s anymore. So that's another part of it is that I was a really reckless, crazy drunk driver for a long time in my life when I lived in Florida, not in Canada. And I took a lot of risks then. But no, it's a very different thing at this point. And I don't think my truck is one of these kind of vehicles that just kind of is souped up and goes really fast, really quickly. I have to build to get that speed up. And it's very calculated and it's not just recklessly done. It's like I read everything constantly and I'm very attentive and active in my driving. But I appreciate you worrying about that, man. I do. I do. I do. I mean, if you rode around with me in the car, you'd see what I was talking about and you'd be like, oh, wow, actually, Lex, I see what you're saying now. Yeah. Yeah. Fiercely saying DeMar DeRozan liked the NBA post on Kyle getting his standing ovation. Of course he did. Of course he did. Of course he loved that. Of course he loved that. That's right. And yeah, I appreciate that you care about me, man. I do. I do. I appreciate that. All right, let me see. Let's see where are my tabs at. Raptors Reddit. What are y'all doing? Oh, they're doing a lot of Kyle Lowry Fest. Love for Kyle. That's really good right there. It's really, really good. Samson Folk has a new article out on Grady Dick, apparently, where he's going over what's going on with Grady's game and what's going on there. Man, it's too bad, man. Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. Great. Samson was a big fan of Grady's, and now he's kind of like really worried about him and what he's putting out there right now. That's what's going on there. Yeah. So yeah, Raptors Reddit's kind of normal stuff for today. Let's see if there's any breaking news right now about the Raptors and their lineup. Let me see if there's anything here. Nope, nothing there. Let's see. Oh, straight goods on Canadian goods, guys. Today, I'm going to promote Tech Savvy. Tech Savvy is an internet choice in the area, in our area in Canada. Tech Savvy is an independent company, much like Freedom Mobile. They're the kind of company that you can have as an alternative to the big telecom titans of Bell and Rogers. So if you're interested in another alternative for your internet connection, look into Tech Savvy. I've been a customer of theirs, and they are fantastic, man. They have really good customer service. They have really good rates. And once again, you're dealing with a company that isn't trying to monopolize the whole industry, and you're actually helping the side that is the smaller part. So Tech Savvy, look them up. They're out of Chatham, Ontario, and they are an internet provider. And they are distinguished by they have to be involved because of anti-monopoly laws. So let's support the little guy, Tech Savvy, and switch your internet today if you want to. You do that. Yeah. Let's looking at the standings real quick. The Raptors are currently a half game above the Sixers in the 4th spot and a full game behind the Celtics. So if we can get the win over Indiana, we'll get closer to Boston, and hopefully Boston will lose some more. And maybe we can leapfrog over them. We're not too far from the Knicks either, only 2 games behind the Knicks. So that's pretty good. Happy birthday to former Raptor Henry Ellenson. Henry Ellenson was a Raptor for 10-day contract way back in 2021. And I guess that was right around the Tampa year or something. But yeah, Ellenson was with the Raptors for a 10-day contract. He played in 2 games. He averaged 19 minutes and averaged 7.5 points in those 2 games. So happy birthday to Henry Ellenson. He is, as of today, he's only 29 years old. He's still currently playing as a player, but he is overseas in, where is he playing? He's in a Korean league. He plays for a basketball team in Korea currently right now. So happy birthday, former Raptor Henry Ellenson. Y'all check on your fantasy teams, your Yahoo basketball fantasy teams. The week just started, and get in your lineups. I'm playing Nins this week. So yeah, get your lineup set for your fantasy right there. Yeah. All right, let's see the classic card. 3 hours. Wow, I did Alexathon still. All right, let's see. Man, that's too hard for right now. I want to get done. I'm like, I pulled the card out and I'm like, no, let's not do that. That's too crazy hard in some ways. I want to get an easy one. Okay, this one's fairly easy. Let's see who knows who this guy is. Full name answer, please, for the classic card. This is fairly easy. You guys should know who this is. This is like a big controversy with the Dallas Mavericks at that time and something like that. Yeah. Jim Jackson. That's right. Stargate saying Jim Jackson is exactly right. It's not a hard one, so I'm going to give you 100 for this one. Jim Jackson. That's right. There was the whole thing with Tony Braxton there that caused problems for the Mavericks at that time. Stargate got it. That's right. 100 points for Stargate on the classic card. He recognized Jim Jackson. Awesome. Awesome. All right, let's see. Fiercely saying vote G League and NBA All Star. Yeah, the voting is closing for All Star in like the next 2 days. So if you want to vote for Scotty and Brandon, you got to do it now. And you can vote unlimited for the G League as of right now for the G League guys. So do that too. Stargate saying that they use Rogers infrastructure though. That's the caveat. Yeah, but it's a different company. I know that they use Rogers infrastructure. Yeah, I was aware of that. But they're still a different company, and they're your provider. But they have to use the infrastructure. They pay for that infrastructure. But are you technically working for Rogers or getting Rogers internet? No, you're not. You're getting Tech Savvy. That's right. That's right. Slug DZ, you're just a little too late. I'm sorry, my guy. Stargate got in there. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching my reaction to the Kyle Lowry Fest last night. Yeah, the Sixers won, rightfully so. They played better than us. And if the Raptors don't shoot threes better soon, man, what are we doing with our lives, man? What are we doing with our lives? You're welcome, Mr. Quasimodo. I appreciate you guys. I'll see y'all tomorrow for the preview for Indiana Pacers in Indiana against Siakam. And once again, the referees for the G League game tonight, really fast, Ken Jones, Eric Alig, and Billy McClatchy. So watch the Raptors 905 against Birmingham Squadron, 7:30 on YouTube in Canada. You can watch that. Yeah, Mo's been voting. That's right. Keep voting, Mo. All right, let's go Raptors.